present the news quiz with your host, Miles Jupp.
And welcome to the news quiz. We start with a cutting from the Gloucestershire Echo, read by Corrie Caulfield.
Parents and guardians are being invited to a new Gloucestershire support group to help those who have children confronting gender issues. The group arranges outings once a month.
Our thanks to Mick Brunt for kicking off the series with that insinuation. Now, let's meet the teams. Will you welcome first on my right, Jeremy Hardy and Susan Calman. And opposite them, on my left, comedian and actor Carrie Lloyd and Times columnist and Conservative peer Danny Finkelstein. Jeremy, who's releasing their papers in response to some papers?
Everybody is publishing their tax returns. Try getting a book of short stories away and Random House don't want to know. Because W.H. Smith and Waterstones are filling up with politicians' incomes. But if that drives Jeremy Clarkson's detoxing for bigots from the shelves, or means that Smiths are stocking fewer copies of Davina McCall's How to Have a Flat Stomach and No Other Qualities, then so be it. What this has shown up is that people are far less concerned generally about tax avoidance than they have been about benefit fraud, which is a minor problem by comparison. We lose billions and billions in tax avoidance, but the animus of the public is directed towards the little people. And the public are far more hateful towards people who have even less money than them, but are getting a little bit that they shouldn't get through some sort of fiddle. And if you put BBC One on in the morning and leave it on, it's a sort of rolling programme that's all the same for hours on end. And every programme has the same structure and the same voiceover, so it's like one show that slightly changes theme. It starts with people who've moved to a cul-de-sac in the suburbs of Adelaide that's very similar to the cul-de-sac in Peterborough that they left behind and only moved to destroy their children's social lives and abandon their devastated ageing parents. Then it moves on to people who fell in some water but got out okay. And then you get people who are skint and not very clever, who fiddled a bit of money off the benefits or off of an insurance company. And the bloke goes, "This stupid sod claimed he was unfit for work after being flattened by a steamroller, but 6 months later, investigators found him working part-time as a bookmark. Now he's in prison and his kids are starving." But the thing is, the other reason the rich get away with it is because it's so boring what they do. Cameron tried to explain his father's thing, and you just lost interest. He's like, "I can't even be bothered to be angry about this. It's so..." Well, my father was dealing in securities, the dollar securities, and so... That is the problem.
Is this...
The problem is, as I can see it, it's the discussion which happens often about what's illegal and what's immoral. Because there's things we would all like to be illegal that are actually kind of immoral. For example, I would like it to be illegal for parents to allow their children to watch Peppa Pig on the train on an iPad without using headphones. The problem is, I remember when I was at university and I was learning about tax law, we were told about this 7-year issue to avoid inheritance tax, and it's something that's been happening for years. And David Cameron has announced, or the government has announced, that there's going to be some form of task force that's going to look really closely, honestly, really closely, over the next decade or 20 or so decades about this particular issue, combined with the EU, who are also suggesting that perhaps we should be looking into it. Now, the problem, as I see it, is we've known about this for years. It's been happening for years. People keep talking about the fact they're going to do something about it for years, and then nothing ever happens. And so it'll go away, and then in about 2 or 3 years, something else will happen, and we'll find out that people have been giving their money, and nothing will change, because the people who are in power are people with money who don't want it to change. So until the people rise up like the Icelandic people did, and kudos to them for throwing bananas at the Parliament. Well done, Iceland. Nothing's going to change. So the problem is, Miles, Nothing's going to change.
I thought you were going to call for a revolution there, but you stopped short.
Look, I've just started a pension. So, I'm a fan of a minor revolution, but not one that affects my pension.
Is a revolution the answer?
I don't think so. The thing that I enjoyed most about
it might be a good idea. There's been lots of fun revolutions over the years, Danny.
The thing that I enjoyed most about the tax revelations were all the little details, like the Chancellor of the Exchequer only earning £3 from his interest, which you'd hope he'd be able to do a bit better than that. My other favourite thing was Jeremy Corbyn's £500 for filling out surveys. So we basically found out why it was the opinion pollsters thought Labour was going to win the election. They were doing it online, and in fact they were just getting Jeremy Corbyn sticking Labour.
And has there been panic? I mean, you're closely involved with
no, there's nothing.
Sinister Forces, the Conservative Party. You're closely involved with the Conservative, important people. I mean, has there been a sense of panic about this?
Not
Why
really,
won't this
because
blow over?
the thing is that once you're in government, you actually can't have very many outside interests, so your tax returns are going to be boring. So therefore, it's only the issue of privacy has caused a bit of stir and a concern because people don't like it. But I don't think it's caused a real panic.
Surely you can have a vast and substantial property portfolio.
Yeah, you can.
Surely we're not talking about having a second job at Lidl. I'm not expecting, but...
Yeah. Although Jeremy Corbyn does have a second job at Lidl.
Can anyone explain to me, though, what offshore is? Why didn't they just say abroad? I don't understand. You don't say I've got an offshore holiday, do you?
It's a phrase that's loaded so you know what it means. Right. So it's not like I've got a bank account in France. I don't. In case if the taxman's listening, it's always the taxman, isn't it? It's always the taxman.
Tax person.
Yeah.
Mind you, if they want to. No one likes the taxman, so men can keep that.
Yeah, that's true.
I just like the storybook nature of it all. Because, like you said, it's so terrifying. It's so unbelievable. Even the company Mossack Fonseca, which sounds made up. Like, Panama Papers sounds like a Graham Greene novel. Mossack Fonseca sounds like an Albanian Eurovision winner.
Mossack Fonseca sounds like, when you're asked to do your porn name.
By your weird solicitor.
Yeah. What's your porn name? It's Mossack Fonseca.
What is your...
Isn't it supposed to be...
It's your name of your first pet and your mother's maiden name.
So mine would be Bart Wilkie.
What's yours, Danny?
Honey Wiener.
Honey Wiener.
It's just
that
about
sounds like
perfect.
a pet name.
I think the whole theory was developed just for my name, actually. That's my thing.
Mine would be Andrew Stagg.
I think it gives a sense. Stags, they rut. You get a sense of your sort of mounting anger.
Was called Andrew.
He was a mouse.
That is a tough household.
It was the 60s. We had fewer names in those days.
No, I shouldn't be going. I had no idea what anyone was talking about.
What's yours, Miles?
Mine would be... it would be... We had 3 pets when I was first born, so I'd be one of... Oscar, Max, or Bramble. I think Bramble.
Bramble, we'll take Bramble.
That's quite porny. Bramble Teb. I'd be a sort of
That's
porn...
posh porn.
Sort of porn. Pretty happy with
Bramble,
that.
Bramble
Trap some of your guinea fowl. Bramble Teb, stop it, Bramble, stop it.
Idiosyncratically, this is the tale of the Panama Papers and the subsequent rush by party leaders to declare details of their finances in a move somewhat reminiscent of locking a stable door after the horse has already galloped off to enjoy 30 years of sun-drenched, tax-efficient luxury. A lot of people have been criticised for their tax arrangements, but we're told that we shouldn't blame individuals, we should blame the system. One, I believe, of the less successful lines of defence at the Nuremberg trials of 1945. Jeremy Corbyn published his tax return, which was just a crumpled piece of paper that says, everything I own, I bequeath to the workers. Apart from his MP's salary, Jeremy Corbyn's other taxable income included £1,850 from lecturing and a couple of hundred rubles for something termed Operation Beige Disaster. Fortunately, David Cameron has now launched a task force to investigate the whole thing, and we expect big results. Let me put it this way. When Mrs. Thatcher launched a task force, she came back with the Falklands. All I'm saying is, David, the bar has been set. 2 points to Jeremy. Susan, who has officially been called names?
This is the incredible excitement surrounding the EU referendum. They officially announced this week who were the official campaign groups for the In and Out campaign. So Vote Leave is the official one for the leaving, and Britain Stronger in Europe is the official campaign to stay in. Both absolutely horrific names. They're not exactly catchy. I can't see anyone wearing a banner with one of them. It should be called Europe Sucks, or It's Just Easier to Stay In.
It sounds like the sort of name whenever they ring anyone to sort of like lobby and say, we suggest that you vote our way, they'll have to keep explaining what the name is again. No, that's actually what it's called. I know it sounds like it's got... No, that is its name. Yes,
Britain Stronger. They should at least have called it Britain Remain in Europe, and then it would be Brie. The Grassroots Out Challenge, the LGBT organisation run by Nigel Farage, it says they're going to challenge this because they wanted to be the official campaign, with the tantalising prospect of a challenge actually delaying the European referendum. So, fingers crossed. The point is, if you're an official campaign, you get to spend £7 million, you get a bit of public money. Now, it started rather strangely this week with kind of leaflet wars. The government are spending £9 million sending everyone a leaflet about how great Europe is. Led to a huge fight in Parliament, and Nigel Evans said that David Cameron was like a spiv Robert Mugabe, which is a tremendous image. And then this week, of course, we had, if you've seen the papers, David Cameron, Neil Kinnock and Paddy Ashdown on a phone bank, phoning people. It's an extraordinary picture of the three of them. It's the worst game of kiss, cuddle and torture you've ever seen.
Peter Bone popped up on the telly. He's one of the grassroots out, the ones in the green ties. And I thought, he seems quite a chirpy, amiable type of a bloke. I wonder what he's like. And I Googled Peter Bone, backbench Tory MP, and it came to political views. And it said he has been against all social progress that has ever happened in the history of humankind.
But he's also in favour of those ties, which I think is an even stronger reason to be against them. So those ties, they're luminous green and black stripes, which you basically only wear if you're over 50, if you're a man, and also if you're more concerned to express your view on Europe than you are with either your dignity or your taste.
So they've been revealed who the official campaigns are. Anyone else know what's been revealed this week to do with the campaigns? The campaign mascots have been unveiled this week. Yep.
They got mascots.
Which side is Pugsy on?
That's right, they've got two campaign mascots who are called Hatred and Indifference.
Laura Koonsberg's a rather vengeful person, isn't she? I saw Corbyn's speech, and he obviously he's been in two minds about this, and he's come down on the side of staying. And she's piped up and went, "So, Mr. Corbyn, you appear to have changed your mind, don't you?" And he said, "Yes, I have, yeah. So, you're going to stay in now, are you?" "Yeah, I'm going to stay in now." "But you've been critical." "Yes, I have."
Once again, you totally nailed that Scottish accent.
Darling, it's Radio 4, they really won't know the difference.
Thank God someone said it.
It's true, I got a tweet once from someone listening to the news quiz saying it was delightful to hear a working class accent on Radio 4.
That's you, Miles. You can tell those vowels are new money. You really can.
It is strange.
They're not an old family, the Jobs. They're not I think they're trade.
It is strange, the Corbyn thing, though, like someone... I mean, we all did stuff in the 70s that we don't do now, I think. I mean, I was being breastfed for 4 months. Like to think I've changed. Wildly, this is the Electoral Commission's decision on which campaigns will enjoy, and I use that word in the most misleading of senses, official status in the EU referendum. The case for staying in will be represented by Britain Stronger in Europe, while the case for getting out will be represented by the Vote Leave campaign, beating off heavy competition from Leave.eu and the surprisingly popular Levy McLeave-face. Also this week, there are objections to the government spending £9 million on a leaflet setting out the case for staying in Europe. Haven't read it myself, but then anything that isn't a pizza delivery menu goes straight over the fence into the neighbour's garden anyway. Just in case you're wondering, I'm voting Hawaiian. 2 points to Susan. Cariad, who's taken a bit of a beating over a past relationship?
Yes, this is John Whittingdale, the Culture Secretary. It was recently revealed that he had a relationship with a sex worker in 2014, 2013, so a while ago. He didn't know she was a sex worker, which I think is interesting, because what did she say she did? She say she worked in Boots, W.H. Smith's. What was the lie you go for?
I think she did work in Boots.
Oh, And 4 papers knew about this story and didn't publish it. And very sweetly, they all came out and said, we didn't think it was of public interest. It's a sort of, there is conspiracy theories about why perhaps they didn't publish this story, especially with the Leveson inquiry and the press regulations coming out. It's very interesting that they didn't publish the information they had on John Whittingdale.
Presumably, he realised she was a sex worker when he got the bill.
It's an interesting week press-wise, of course, because there is the celebrity super injunction, which is also kicking about at this precise moment in time. And the super injunction doesn't apply in Scotland, so I can tell you.
Can you?
And then I can go home and see if they can extradite me. At the same time, you've got papers saying we are not going to publish John Whittingdale because it's not in the public interest, but are spending tens of thousands of pounds trying to beat a super injunction about a threesome that a celebrity had. And they don't match up.
Now, Danny, you're a man of the press, and you've presumably encountered Whittingdale. I assume you haven't dated, but where do you stand on this?
Well, actually, I'm basically in favour of printing all sorts of things that other people would regard as outside the limits, because I think that actually the area of public interest is quite wide. So I take probably the same view of the Whittingdale affair as I would of the super injunction issue as well. And the problem with that story, with the Whittingdale story, is I just don't know what the other papers had, because someone was trying to sell it to them for quite a lot of money, and they may have decided it wasn't worth the money that the person was asking for it.
So it's straight
so I just
decision.
don't know why they decided not to publish it. You can speculate in the way that you have, but you just don't know.
There's a dominatrix, wasn't it? I mean, what is it, Danny, about pain that we find so pleasurable?
The funniest thing is that she was a sex worker, and she gave him up after 6 months when she found out she was going out with a government minister.
I think there is something very, very Tory about it, to have sex with a sex worker but not even pay them a decent wage. Well, I mean, fair play to him if he wants to go out with a sex worker. I think that's fine. But he said, I never asked her what she did for a living. You think, what, in all that time? Surely you'd say, what? Is it secret work for the government that I'm not allowed to know about? Or are you some kind of superhero? You'd ask, wouldn't you?
Maybe he couldn't believe his luck, and so he thought, I'm just not going to question this relationship because it's so good and she's so amazing in bed. I'm not going to say anything.
You sometimes don't want to ruin it if you're doing it with someone really attractive, like by speaking. You don't want to...
Maybe he couldn't ask questions because of the gag.
Because people say, he's capable of being objective, that one thing doesn't need to... But, I mean, I'd have thought visiting a dominatrix would presumably sort of cloud your ability to do your work, whatever your work is. If you sort of turn up to meetings and your ears are just ringing with the sound of beating, or whenever anyone's talking to you, you can't concentrate, you think, I just need a cold surface to put my arse against, quite frankly. You think, is that a professional state to turn up to work in?
In fairness, he might have thought she worked in a G4S run detention centre.
I think maybe he thought she was a government whip.
Illuminatingly, this is the story of Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport, John Whittingdale. Labour are calling for him to lose his powers to oversee the press after it was revealed that newspapers had for 2 years covered up his relationship with a professional dominatrix. Whittingdale told Newsnight that he did not know the woman was a dominatrix, and when he found out, he broke it off. No need to go that far, John. Just pop it back in your pants and have a think. We do need to be very careful what we say, given that John Whittingdale is supervising charter renewal and the entire future of the BBC. Hurt me, give it to me harder, I've been a bad boy. Commented a submissive Director General during the latest round of negotiations. 2 points to Cariad. Danny, who's stealing themselves to come to the rescue?
Well, Tata want to sell their steel interests in Port Talbot, and the government's been trying to find a buyer, and they have intervened to stop the closure, and they're trying to find a buyer. They're also trying to stop the EU from raising tariffs on steel, which they claim would put £4.80 on the bill that households pay for shoes, because the duty rule that keeps steel cheap also keeps shoes cheap, but it means we import a lot of steel and can't sell ours. So it's basically bad news for Wales, but good news for Imelda Marcos.
So what did Tata sell the Scunthorpe plant for?
£1.
A single pound.
I'm quite relieved because I've got to go to Scunthorpe to do a gig, and I don't want a lot of redundant steel workers stripping on the stage when I'm trying to do my humorous side swipes at politics. But yeah, the group called Greyball bought it for £1, Scunthorpe Steelworks, which is good, but guess what they're going to call it? British Steel. Yeah. So why didn't we just have British Steel in the first place? But Tata is a fantastic name, isn't it, for a company that's shutting down our manufacturing industry, otherwise known as Thank You and Goodbye.
Do you think the shoes thing, is that just is that real? Is that a red herring thing? Is there something, if we sign up to these things, is there something that we can use
Who's
in this
paying
argument?
£4.80 for shoes?
What?
That's ridiculous.
Per week?
No, that was more than you.
Yes.
Tariff.
You'd have to
It
pay
would
more.
add £4.80 on
And that's
top.
£2.40 per shoe.
Yeah.
I was in the
Because I wanted
United
to know where
States.
those shoes came
I was in the
from.
United States a couple of weeks ago, and they had a big advert which said, shoes, buy one, get one free. I thought that was the whole idea.
It wouldn't affect me because I buy. The only benefit of being essentially an optical illusion, as I am, is I buy children's shoes. So I can buy, which don't have VAT and are often cheaper. So I just buy kids' shoes. I mean, it can be embarrassing when they light up and stuff, but.
But then they appeal to the people who made them, don't they? But cheap shoes is why Northampton's collapsed, because it used to be the centre of the world's cobbling, and now it's finished because of cheap shoe imports.
Well, it's still there, but none of them are. There's only one British-owned cobbler in Northampton.
Who owns the other
How
ones?
do you know these things?
Because I always,
I have my shoes
Do
made
you wear
by a man
handmade
in
brogues?
Northampton.
No, I just make a point of chatting to shoe salesmen. I did a play in Northampton a few years ago, and I went to. There's lots of shoe shops there, so I thought I'll go to one of the shoe shops. I went to Trickers, which is the last independent one, and I was, you talk to people. You just talk about the area you want. I was staying there for like 2 months, and at some point, eventually, the conversation came around to shoes.
I bought some red Leicester cheese in Leicester, and I looked at the packet, and it said "Made in the Republic of Ireland."
Is nothing sacred. Ontologically, these are the ongoing attempts to rescue Tata's steel plants amid the crisis in the British steel industry. Part of the problem is that the UK has consistently voted against higher trade tariffs in Europe, but Business Secretary Sajid Javid said that by doing so, he had managed to lower the price of the nation's shoes. It must be comforting to the steel workers to know that while they may lose their jobs, there are nimble-fingered 5-year-olds stitching trainers in Thailand whose miserable future is utterly assured. The extra cost of shoes for a British household would have been £4.80, unless you wanted steel toe caps, in which case you have to pay an extra £1, but also then own a steel factory in Scunthorpe. 2 points to Danny. And at the end of round 1, the scores are Jeremy and Susan have 4, but so too do Cariad and Danny. We start round 2 with a headline from E! Online.
Cameron Diaz encourages women to keep their pubic hair in her new book.
Thank you to Graham Forbes for sending us that. And how wonderful that we've somehow achieved crossover with E! Online. Whatever that may be. Jeremy, have a listen to this. Jeremy, who's been told not to jog on?
Well, Radio 4 is certainly up to speed, because when I started doing this programme, the music played would have been Keep On Running, and now it's the 1995 Blur hit, Parklife. Okay, there's these people who are called Park Run UK Run Park Leave, and basically they get a load of people to go running at the same time. But the trouble is that what they're doing is they're making the park horrible for normal people who want to go for work. They're messing up all the grass, and they're putting pressure on the pavement, which is my excuse for not jogging, is that it ruins the nation's paving stones. And all they said was, could we have a few quid a year upkeep from parkrun.leave UK EU, which is an organisation, and they said, well, football clubs have to pay £6 every 5 years, so you should pay something. But the nation's joggers have gone ballistic and descended on this council, and everyone's furious, and all sorts of people like Paula Radcliffe have said, God, if people can't en masse defecate by the roadside, what the hell is happening to this country? And people have pointed out that obesity is a huge crisis and we should all be doing more exercise.
They are saying that there is jogger-based erosion is the problem. Is that, how real a problem do we think jogger-based erosion is? Do you think... I mean, has anyone here been for a run in North Norfolk? Are you the reason that the whole place is falling into the sea?
I've not done a park run, but I have I've recently started to do some training, and I have a personal trainer, and there's a fashion for using the parks, the outdoors. So I go to a boot camp at 6 o'clock in the morning in a Glasgow park, and we run around the park. And the first time I did it, it was pitch black in a Glasgow park at 6 in the morning. It was thrilling. And the man said, my personal trainer said, pick up that tyre and carry that tyre around the park. For a normal person, you can pick up a tyre. I'm
more
too
use
short.
if you were picking up hypodermic needles and used condoms, to be honest. And you can combine two tasks with one.
But I had to pick up the tyre and hold it over my hand like it was like a handbag. So I was wandering in a park as if I was in a fashionable London cafe, and it was good fun because you use the park for something other than, just wandering around the park.
You said this was 6 o'clock in the morning. Mm-hmm. Was it a dream?
No. You do it before work, so you do an hour of hard intensity training. I think you'll find out too, Jeremy. I have a lot of things in my life.
Susan obviously thinks people go to London cafes carrying tyres on their arm.
A lady's handbag. I've seen women in magazines with them. I have a sensible rucksack. So, I mean, the argument is they're very, very popular, and they are encouraging people to take more exercise because they're very popular all over the country. And if people have to start paying, a lot of people do it because they can't afford to go to gyms, because gyms are quite expensive, whereas they can just go out and have a run. And if we are talking about a population which is going to be saddled with an obesity crisis, surely we should be encouraging people to do any form of exercise.
Shouldn't you be encouraging people to use the park as well? Like, why is the park there but for people to use it?
To be kept pristine for the people who like to enjoy the park the way it should be carried out.
In the correct way. I think what you're saying about British military fitness, and I think women like aggressive men shouting at them to do exercise because it reminds us of the patriarchy. That's what we face every day, is men shouting us to tell us what to do. But if we can, get healthy out of it, that's something.
When we were getting a personal trainer, we had a big discussion about whether to get a man or a woman.
Oh, yeah.
What would we react better to? And we decided we'd react better to a man shouting at us, because it never happened. It's never happened to me. And so this man shouts at us, and it's quite, I come over quite girly. Because he's like, come on, Calman, you can do better. There's no such thing as failure. And I'm like, there's a man. I'm wearing tights and there's a man shouting at me.
I used to have a personal trainer, a very nice man called Imran, and he'd come and we'd go out on the streets and do sort of sprints and stuff. And there was a thing where he would sort of help me stretch, and my arms were behind my back, and he would sort of pull in my arms so they stretched. And this car screeched a hole, and these guys jumped out because they thought he was attacking me. Antibiotically, this is the news that Stoke Gifford Parish Council have decided to charge a weekly park run £1 per runner to cover the cost of wear and tear to the park. All this happened in Little Stoke, which used to be called Stoke until the combined activities of joggers wore away the rest of the town. Anyway, it makes no sense to run around in small circles in Gloucestershire when, if you run in a straight line, you will eventually reach the county border, and beyond it, freedom. 2 points to Jeremy. Cariad, have a listen to this. Cariad, who's been accused of lifting spirits?
It's difficult to say who that was because in the papers this week, Led Zeppelin, who for Radio 4 listeners are a modern rock band, have finally had their case, it's been taken to a jury, that they plagiarised the song Taurus by Spirit, who, the classic funeral hit Stairway to Heaven is what they're claiming. I think you just played the Taurus version. Have I just proved the case?
Both.
That was both?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they were touring with Spirit during the late 60s, and sometimes they'd play each other's tracks, and there'd be a mash-up, and someone not even the man who wrote it, someone on behalf of his estate, because he's actually sadly passed away, is suing Led Zeppelin. And the man who wrote the Taurus song is called Randy Wolf, but he performed under the name Randy California, because clearly Wolf was not an exciting surname for him. He went, no, you know what, Randy Wolf, that's not enough, but I tell you what will be, Randy California. So they're claiming that they stole the chord progression at the beginning. So it's the chord progression, then the break, and then another chord progression. That's the bit they're claiming is stolen, which obviously is a very famous bit of Stairway to Heaven. But I liked, Led Zeppelin claimed those chords were so cliched they did not deserve copyright protection, which I thought was a damning indictment of their own musical ability, and quite harsh, because they're pretty good. But it's not even him, it's another man called Michael Skidmore, just to sound like a comedy baddie, who's after money and nothing else. He is actually suing them on behalf of Randy's estate, because apparently before he died, Randy said, I wrote that. And it's apparently also very similar to a George Harrison song as well. So you can't start suing every dead person from the 60s, can you?
There must be a lot of penniless, very old African-American blues musicians who are saying, Led Zeppelin plagiarised it. You don't say.
How legitimate a claim is it?
Their excuse basically is we didn't steal it from him, we stole it from everyone.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was very convincing, but because the worst thing about it is I had to listen to that song twice in order to try to work out what I thought of it, and it was pretty bad. Essentially, if they were so clever, they would have written Stairway to Heaven themselves, but they didn't. They wrote a song that no one had ever heard, so I don't think the case falls on that.
The judge has actually said it now has to go to a jury, so now you're going to have to ask 12 random people who I assume, might not necessarily have music breakdown ability knowledge, which is the technical term.
And a jury, don't you have to get people that know nothing about the thing? So you've got to.
Have never heard Stairway to Heaven. I've never been to a funeral.
I have a very visceral, emotional reaction to Stairway to Heaven, because in my younger days, boys would learn how to play that as a courting kind of tool. So you would go down to their room at university, and you'd say, did you play the guitar? And they go, yeah, and they'd play just the opening part of Stairway to Heaven, and then nothing else. That's all they could play.
I was always courted by accordion players who played When the Saints Go Marching In.
But when someone starts and it's quite intense playing, you don't want to go, just leave it, mate, I'm really not interested. I was just here because you had some wine. And,
what did you used to play to ladies to woo them?
Well, my recorder. I was single.
You're looking at me?
Well,
plainly, I'm not musically gifted.
Oh yes, gosh.
If you hear me sing, you'll know that extraordinary rendition means torture.
Yeah. Creamily, this is the shocking news that Led Zeppelin have been accused of plagiarism over their song Stairway to Heaven, the opening chord sequence of which it is argued bears a remarkable resemblance to the song Taurus by the band Spirit. Stairway to Heaven tells the story of a woman buying a stairway to heaven. But like all popular music, it's actually about drugs, incest, and the pitfalls of inadequate financial planning.
I thought it was a way for old people to get upstairs when their knees go.
Of course, the real victim of plagiarism in all this is the creator of the original Stairway to Heaven, listener and friend of the show, the biblical patriarch Jacob, upon whose eponymous ladder both the song and the religion of Judaism are based. 2 points to carry out. Danny, who's run away as fast as their 8 legs can carry them?
Yeah, well, this is an octopus called Inky who has made an escape from the National Aquarium in
Lord
New Zealand.
Inkelstein, they should call him, I think.
Oh dear. By breaking out of the tank, slithering down a 50-metre drain pipe and disappearing into the sea. So in other words, gone offshore. So my favourite bit about this story is the quote from the person who's running the aquarium, Rob Yarrell, who said, "Octopuses are famous escape artists. I don't think he was unhappy with us." Now, I'm only a Jew from Pinner, but how did he know that? He would want to know what's happening on the outside. That's just his personality. This is Inky, and he's always been a bit of a surprise octopus. What is... And then it said, we have another octopus, Blotchy, but Inky had the personality. When it's absolutely just an octopus. Get
That
real.
was the sad part of that story, was poor Blotchy. So Blotchy's there going, well, at least I'm still here. And the guy at the zoo's like, well, he's not got much of a personality. Poor wee Blotchy's like, no, with maracas behind him going, I can do it.
He's working on an escape. I'm making a glider out of cuttlefish.
If you're in an octopus double act and you're not the personality, what do? You just provide the legs? Like, that is really hard.
You'd be like Mike and Bernie Winters, wouldn't you, really?
I don't know who they are.
Bernie. They were two brothers called Mike and Bernie Winters, and when they acrimoniously fell out and separated, Mike Winters was so lacklustre that Bernie replaced him with a St Bernard called
Schnorbits.
Do you think Blotchy's going to get a St Bernard?
It's just, when you read the story, it's an interesting one. Apparently octopus can squeeze through the gap of a coin. Because they're
not one of those giant octopuses from films.
No, not one of the ones from like Sinbad.
Not the made-up octopuses.
No, not one of those. I feel like
you're talking about
to a child. No, not the ones from Sinbad, Jeremy.
You're talking about calamari, aren't you? You're not talking about.
Even the big ones.
The octopus,
They've got
which was
no
like a
bones,
normal-sized. Like, if you had an octopus, you'd say that's a normal-sized octopus.
Yeah.
Like on the scale
calamari
of...
are squid, and they're no good at escaping.
Yeah, squid aren't good, but an octopus, like a normal-sized octopus.
The kind that can crush a submarine and it's 8 tentacles.
No, not one of those ones.
Why would one of those need to escape? It can crush a submarine.
Yes.
Where's it escaping from?
That's a
Good point, Carrie. That's what I should have said. They're not going to have one that size in a zoo if it could crush a... So a normal-sized octopus, coin-sized hole, and if you look at it in the papers, they do a whole map of his escape route, where apparently it's conspiratorial. So the top of the tank was left ajar in the middle of the night. Inky decided, because there was no one looking, to eke in it, and then he found this tiny little thing, and he went, sod it, I'm going to go for it. And Inky went. Now, they've said he's not been stolen. I think that's a more logical explanation.
Well, that's the thing. They only suspect that he's escaped. All they know is he's disappeared.
Well, I saw that there's no video, there's no proof. They just went into the tank and he wasn't there. So
he's
you
a
kind of
surprise octopus. Which bit of this don't you get?
Somebody might have sold him. One of the zookeepers might have done something that might be dodgy
one
deals.
Of his long tentacles to reach the key that was hanging on their hook by the sleeping jailer and pull it into the cage and undo it, and then knock the jailer out and put his clothes on and escape.
The Guardian said the escape, we called it a brazen escape. How did they know it was brazen?
They don't know. They don't even know. It's a speculation that it's escaped at all. It could be the sort of caretaker. That is delicious. I didn't know how the lid came off. I wanted to do that for years.
I tell you, it could be. It's going to be. If anyone's eating Inky, it's Blotchy. The bitter octopus.
So you said it didn't have a personality, did you?
Exactly. I'll show you, Inky. Yeah.
It is nice octopus. I've eaten it. It's a bit like those things that stop you slipping in the bath when you get.
You eat one of those as well.
Taste-wise or texture-wise?
Well, both.
I do like, it's true, you're absolutely right, the idea of a surprise octopus. Wouldn't you like to get that for Christmas? Why have you got me an octopus? No, it's a surprise octopus.
When I was a child, I asked for a snake and I got a hamster. And that was a very upsetting surprise.
Did you use the hamster to lure a snake? They die very quickly, don't they, hamsters?
Don't even start me on the story.
Oh, God. Can of worms.
Damn James Dyson, damn him.
Pedagogically, this is the cheeky tale of Inky the octopus, who has vanished from the National Aquarium in New Zealand. He apparently broke out of his tank, slithered down a 50-metre drain pipe and disappeared into the sea. What I can't understand is an octopus runs across the floor of an aquarium and the world is captivated. A rat runs across the floor of my pop-up artisanal bakery and I'm told I have to go on a course. Bloody Brussels. It just goes to show how important it is to take care of octopuses responsibly. And remember, summer's on its way and they do die in hot cars. I can empathise. I don't think I'd want to be looked at by the paying public if I had a beak between my legs and an anus on my face. What am I talking about? I'd love it. 2 points to Danny. Before we reveal the final scores, has anybody got a cutting that they'd like to share?
This was sent in by Dan Stockwell, and it's from the Bacon Garth Children's Centre in Cottingham, and it's a notice. Finding my feet session will not be running during the Easter holiday.
Susan.
This was heard on You and Yours by Graham Moult, where Lord Grade was discussing his new role as fundraising regulator. I realised that it is a job that needs doing very badly, so I decided to do it.
Carrie Ann.
This is a cutting from The Guardian, which was sent in by lots of people. A former German intelligence employee has said he started spying for the US and Russia because he felt underappreciated and not sufficiently challenged in his job. No one trusted me with anything, he said.
Danny.
From the Nairobi Star and sent in by Tanya Chopra. A pilot caught on camera attacking a policewoman has been charged with assault and creating disturbance. The prosecution objected to the pilot's release on bail, saying he's a flight risk.
Thank you. And now let's take a look at the final score. Carrie Ann and Danny have 8, but this week's winners are Jeremy and Susan with 9. Before we leave you, here is a cutting from the Royal Borough Observer, sent in by Andy Sondon.
Are you a man aged over 40? Windsor Lions Club is offering free prostate cancer checks with the help of a local estate agent.
And with that, goodbye.
Taking part in the news quiz for Jeremy Hardy, Susan Cowman, Carrie Lloyd and Danny Finkelstein. In the chair was Miles Jupp, and the news was read by me, Corey Caulfield. The chair's script was written by John Hunter, James Kettle and Benjamin Partridge, with additional material by Sarah Campbell and Jenny Collier. The producer was Richard Morris, and it was a BBC radio comedy production.
We present the news quiz with your host, Miles Jupp.
And welcome to the news quiz, back after what I think it's fair to say has been a fairly quiet summer. We start the show with a statement from the New York City Parks Department, read by Zeb Soanes.
Our wardens have removed a naked statue of Donald Trump from Union Square. The department stands firmly against any unpermitted erections, no matter how small.
Our thanks to Emma Richards, Michelle Renault, Richard Wall, and everyone else who sent us that American Horror Story. Now let's meet the teams. Really welcome first on my right, Andy Hamilton and Lucy Porter. And opposite them, on my left, Kerry Godliman and Jeremy Hardy. Andy, who thinks changing the rules should be pointless?
Oh, well, yeah, one of the things we learnt this week is that the Prime Minister has ruled out a points-based immigration system, which is probably just as well, really, because if we did introduce a system whereby people's right to live here was decided by whether or not they make a contribution to society, a lot of us could get deported. Probably most of the audience. Certainly all of the panel. But that was about the only thing we learnt, because elsewhere Mrs May just resorted to her usual mantra of Brexit means Brexit, which is hard to argue with. It doesn't really get you anywhere because, because Brexit is a totally invented, made-up word, isn't it, to describe an as-yet undefined outcome. So frankly, she might just as well have got up in PMQs and said, Rumbo flange means Rumbo flange. She's being deliberately vague, of course, because she doesn't want to set out the terms that she wants to get, because that way no one will know when she doesn't get them. And of course, it is a valid point that she makes. Her argument is that she's going into a negotiation. She doesn't want to show her hand, which is fine, except that in order to be in a position not to show your hand, you need cards. And you need to be in the room where the game of cards is happening. I can't help feeling that she's possibly overdoing the tactical thing. Because, for instance, I mean, she knows that the arch-Brexiteers are waiting to be betrayed. And so, you know, she's protecting herself because she's deployed Boris Johnson, David Davis and Liam Fox as this sort of three-man human shield. But I think that'll only work in the short term. It only works for as long as they stay in post. And I'm not convinced, for instance, that Boris will last very long as Foreign Secretary. I'm not sure he has the concentration levels. What if a woman walks past? He could so easily lose the Falklands. Just like... To answer your question, it was the immigration, the point system.
Yeah, an entrance of an Australian-style point system was what it was always flagged up as. I don't know why anyone would want Australian-style anything, quite frankly.
I thought the point system would be quite good, because if you are queuing to get into Britain, what could prepare you better than being delayed by a points failure further down the line?
I thought, when she said she was against the point system, it wasn't because she thought, well, isn't it egregious to arbitrarily sort of designate people as having a particular intrinsic value, as though some people are better than others. It wasn't that. What she was saying is, well, the trouble with the point system is you're inviting people on the basis that they've got something to offer, rather than starting from the assumption that all foreigners are bastards until they can convince you differently.
I don't understand how, in practical terms, her system is that they can't come without a job offer. Is that right?
Her system is we decide. She says that's what the people want, is the British government to decide who can come in, not people just to be able to meet vague criteria. You don't have to tell it why it is. It's, I suppose, a bit like not being allowed to join the Labour Party or whatever. They don't have to give you the sort of reasons that you're one of your emails, we won't tell you which, but you're not coming in.
It's just going to be a man in an immigration department going, yep, no, yep, well, maybe, no. It's just going
It'll be that man from the Vicar of Dibley. He will be our new immigration department.
All the people that said, we've got to vote to leave Europe so that we can control who comes in. You just think, you're not going to control it, are you? You're not going to control anything. It's like when people say, well, we're doing all right in the football. No, you're not doing it. You're watching it on the telly.
What have we been up to in France, then?
They're going to build a wall, aren't they, in France? Like Trump's wall, the Great Wall of Calais.
That's right, yeah.
To keep the people from the jungle from trying to get in, because it's got to be over 2 metres, so if they get over it, they're allowed to stay, because then they can be in Tokyo 2020 Olympics.
But it's just this idea that, tear gas hasn't worked, razor wire, we've given the French millions and millions to spend on razor wire, that hasn't worked. You think, look, people have been coming to this country for years and years, and people are saying, well, the trouble is that tunnel. The tunnel was only built, 25 years ago? I mean, there used to be 20 miles of sea. Before boats were even invented, people managed to get to this country. You're not going to stop it with a wall. Just got to accept that people are going to come here and welcome it. This time of year, all my friends are saying, don't know what to do now. The last of the kids has gone away to uni. We just don't know what to do. I'll tell you what to do. Get some refugees in their bedrooms before the little buggers try and come back. You let your kids back in their bedrooms, you'll never get shot of them then. You want to get some refugees in there, people with some self-respect who'll build a future and move on, not your children. People talk a load of rubbish. People say, well, the trouble is, I have every sympathy with these poor people, but Britain is a small island. You think Britain's small? Try getting from Aberystwyth to Lowestoft on a Sunday and then tell me it's a bloody small island.
What else has Theresa May been clamping down on?
All sorts of things.
Anyone want to come forward with a specific answer?
She was at the G20, wasn't she, Theresa? She looked a bit anxious there. She looked like I do when I'm doing a car boot sale selling electrical equipment that I know doesn't work.
My dad used to run jumble sales for the church, and every now and then I used to help him, and the bric-a-brac used to be on the stage, and one lady held up this ancient toaster, and she said, "How much for this?" And I went, 5p. And she went, "Does it work?" And I said, "I don't know, shall I go and plug it in over there?" My dad went, "No!" One thing that happened increasingly as the week went on was that everybody told Britain that they'd have to go at the back of the queue for their trade deal. So by the end of the week, I had this strong mental picture of Theresa May sitting in a waiting room with a ticket in her hand with the number 987 on it and a voice on a tannoy saying, "Number 3.
Peculiarly, this is the news that Britain will not, after all, be introducing an Australian-style points-based immigration system. So apologies to anyone who's already been collecting points. But don't worry, the government say you will still be able to exchange them for a Breville sandwich toaster, an AM or FM radio, or my personal favourite, a delightful set of cut glass tumblers, each one engraved with a picture of Home Secretary Amber Rudd screaming the words, "Send them back." Meanwhile, in France, the UK is funding the building of a wall. Exciting news, because apparently the Great Wall of Calais will now be the most racist man-made object visible from space. Apparently, following the Brexit vote, Mrs May received all sorts of snubs from other foreign leaders. She was forced to stand at the back of the ceremonial photo, and in an unprecedented breach of protocol, the Prime Minister of Italy didn't even try to touch her bottom. Truly, the European project is dead. 2 points to Andy. Lucy, what is the most embarrassing thing that has happened to the Labour Party this week? I should say there are a potential 18 points available. This question.
I'll pick one to start with. Let's go with Keith Vaz. Keith Vaz stepped down as head of the Home Affairs Select Committee for essentially taking his job title way too literally. But I was thinking, after all the upheaval of Brexit, isn't it? It's so nice to get things back to normal with a good old-fashioned MP sex scandal, isn't it? It's always like the old days. I won't go into the allegations, but you've got to hand it to Keith. It's absolute textbook stuff. Prostitutes, drugs, it's classic sleaze, it really is. And I mean, actually, I do always feel with these things, I don't like talking about them because I do think about how awful it must be for the wife and the kids, although Simon Danchuk is standing by him, which must be a great comfort. But because the whole thing does reek a bit of tabloid entrapment, but there is a public interest justification in that the Home Affairs Select Committee, of which Keith Vaz was chair, is conducting an inquiry into the sex industry, which is like Dracula.
Are we still
working at a
making
blood
sex
bank.
in this country then?
It's like the film industry. It was better when George Formby was involved. So yeah, Keith Vaz said he was going to step down because he didn't want to draw attention away from the Labour Party. Personally, I think he should have stayed, because if the one thing the Labour Party needs now, it's someone distracting us from what's going on. I'll move on to another embarrassing thing, which was Jeremy Corbyn, the leader of the Labour Party, said he had the full backing of the band UB40. Now, there may be some younger people listening, so for them, I would like to explain. UB40 are a reggae band, and the Labour Party used to be a credible opposition to the Conservatives. Apparently this incarnation of the band UB40, the ones that have backed Jeremy Corbyn, describe themselves as the most official. There is another version of the band which is called UB40, featuring Ali Campbell, Astro and Mickey Virtue, which begs the question, when did Alistair Campbell join UB40? But also, what says party unity like getting the backing of half a band after an acrimonious split? I'm just hoping Owen Smith is getting supported by Noel Gallagher, Art Garfunkel and Keisha from the Sugar Babes.
Do you think I could reach out to Keith Vaz? Is that all right?
I think you'd be bang up for it.
If you list it. I do feel there's something that I'd just like to... Keith, if you're listening, can you just come a bit closer to the radio? And the thing is, Keith, you're 59. All right? That's the polite version of 60. And you shouldn't be sending texts that say, let's get this party started. You know, you should be sending texts like, oh no, Ocado have delivered the wrong kind of chamomile tea. Most people, if they were embarking on a hedonistic double life, would choose to tell people that they were an astronaut or a racing driver. You chose to tell people that you're a man who makes washing machines. Big ones. He did say big ones.
Industrial. The size of this wall.
That's right.
He said, I make washing machines the size of this wall.
And
I've been tempted into bed by less, I'll be honest.
He also, no, it's irresistible. He also chose the name Jim.
But how do we know that he really is Keith Vaz, chairman of the Home Affairs Select Committee? Perhaps he really is Jim the big washing machine salesman. And it's all a clever double bluff. He works for the Stasi. But really, does it matter? I mean, it's upsetting for his wife, but is it anything to do with anything, really? Does it affect
Could he have passed it off as research?
Yeah. I mean, so long as he paid the sex workers properly, and their papers were in order, I suppose there's nothing.
There's not much he can do. He's got to stand down there. It's the right and proper thing to do. Shut up!
This is Radio 4.
Come on. This is not Popper's jokes, no?
Come on, relax, people. Don't be so tight-arsed about Popper's jokes. In defence of Jeremy Corbyn, I don't know who around him thought, let's get one half of a broken-up band who were famous 35 years ago.
Is he going to do more of it? Because I want to know what Kajagoogoo think of him.
I think he's too shy.
It's
Whose
embarrassing.
idea will it have been for there to be a press conference rather than to be a tweet?
The same. The trouble is, I think in the Labour Party they give you people. It's like the people who said to Ed, "Build a big gravestone." Stand next to it.
Whoever's advising Ken Livingstone to mention Hitler whenever you can.
Extraordinary, isn't he? That it's just there. He can't get a sentence out without.
It wasn't it because he was on telly trying to defend Keith Vaz. I mean, they weren't asking him about Hitler.
No.
They just brought it up apropos of nothing.
Maybe it's his panic phrase.
The thing about Keith is that his intention was to send prostitutes to Israel, and then he went mad and started taking poppers. He's the trouble. Ken really speaks like that. Nobody's working him. That's his real voice.
Do you think it will have made a sort of spike in the voting figures?
What,
do you
UB40?
Yeah. Well,
supporting Corbyn?
Well, Owen Smith is now in trouble for being a dirty, horrible, sexist man, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
He
What's Owen been saying?
Didn't he?
Owen Smith is he real, Owen Smith? I think he's been made in a laboratory out of offcuts of Ed Miliband, Neil Kinnock and Jeremy Clarkson. He's just a sort of composite, slightly shit person.
What's he been saying, Owen?
Well, I'm not sure. He was in a sweet shop and he tweeted a picture of the world's biggest gobstopper and said, "This is what Nicola Sturgeon needs," or something. It wasn't a great tweet. I mean, I'm not sure that it was sexist. If it had been a gobstopper in the shape of his 29-inch penis, then maybe. If you don't know the story about Owen Smith's 29-inch penis, that won't mean anything. But he's got a 29-inch penis.
Lucy, that is not a link to another subject. You have to.
When you see the measurement on trousers, that's waist. That's not. He got into trouble for using the term lunatic, which is just political correctness gone struggling with mental health issues, isn't it?
Lucy, I feel you haven't quite finished talking about Owen Smith. What? Is this
he said he'd like to get hold of Theresa May and give her a slap. He said he'd like to smash her back on her heels. That's quite nasty, isn't it?
I don't get that.
Because her shoes have heels, whereas most people's
shoes have got heels.
I know, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like people going on about Kylie Minogue having a bottom. You think everyone's got a bottom, otherwise they'd fall down the toilet. Or perhaps there are people who haven't got bottoms. We'll get letters from people saying that I've been disrespectful to the bottomless community.
Well, if Owen Smith's 29-inch penis makes it to the Saturday repeat... I am taking the whole family to a harvester. It does sound a bit... Oh, in my head I was thinking, imagine if your inner leg measurement was shorter than your penis length.
Well, you'd be a pole vaulting Paralympic champion, wouldn't you?
Well, you never see him in shorts, do you?
No.
Glibly, these are the latest travails of the Labour Party, who, after a summer of frenzied disputes, have finally come together over the things they love the most: sexist language, white reggae, and rent boys. Keith Vaz has now resigned from his chairmanship of the Home Affairs Committee, and helplines have already been set up to deal with the thousands of teenage girls who now feel life has no meaning. Ken Livingstone came to the aid of Keith Vaz, but managed to turn the conversation round to Hitler in record time, in what seems to be his own version of Mornington Crescent. Or as he calls it, Mornington Hitler. Also, after saying he'd like to smash Theresa May and give a gobstopper to Nicola Sturgeon, Owen Smith defended himself from accusations of misogyny, saying he'd got caught up in the heady, un-PC excitement of the BBC's sitcom season. This leadership contest is playing havoc with my pussy. Commented Shadow Home Secretary Andy Burnham. Two points to Lucy. Kerry, who wants to teach division to our children?
This is that the government are thinking of bringing grammar schools back. Well, they said they're not going to make new grammar schools, they're just going to expand existing ones, possibly up to 200 miles in all directions. It's quite an emotive subject because a lot of people say that grammar schools are quite sort of old-fashioned and that we've moved on from that. And the government's mobility czar, Alan Milburn, he said that they're a social mobility disaster. And Michael Wilshaw, the chief inspector of Ofsted, he's opposed to grammar schools. But this government seem adamant to bring them back. I think they think that they're... Theresa May said at the moment selection is based on postcodes and she'd rather it be based on... I don't know, an IQ test, is it? They do? The 11 plus, that's the thing?
The 11 plus?
I didn't do it. My school was not very good, not very academic. They've got Oxbridge mixed up with Uxbridge because it was just quite near the... just on the outskirts of the A40. But it's worrying, it is emotional because I believe the children are the future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside, Miles, and give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how much we used to be. So, I'm quoting Justine Greening there. She said that today. I don't know. I feel a bit torn about it because kids went back to school this week and I was so happy that they went back to school. I mean, that's why I really felt, because the other news story of this week regarding schools was that a head teacher in Kent sent loads of kids home for not having the right uniform. And I just thought, God, those poor parents that had just got rid of them and then they came back by 9:20. You'd be like, no! You've gone in your school uniform with buckles and Velcro flaps, and that's not allowed in Kent. This teacher sent them all home. Head teacher.
It's his first day in the job.
First day in the job. Old bully at the gate, old Mr. Tate. And he said, no, you're not coming in. 60 kids he sent home.
It's a question of degree, isn't it? I read that story and I thought, well, if a kid has turned up with slightly the wrong shade of grey trousers, then that's obviously pretty harsh. If, on the other hand, he's turned up sarcastically dressed as a clown, then I think that's fair enough.
It may be that they've done everything they could over the summer holidays to get it absolutely ready, and they just slightly missed the deadline. They've nearly got everything right, and the gates are about to be open. It's 9 o'clock, and some kids, we could really do with an extra 20 minutes. And you think, I'll think of something. I'll go out there and just say something to them. It'll stall for time. There'll be no consequences as a result of this. And now he's, I don't know, been splashed on most papers and called a Nazi by people other than you-know-who.
It was likened to the Gestapo, wasn't it? Which I thought was a bit harsh. You know, the Gestapo, generally speaking, didn't just send people home to come back in the proper kit. That was not one of the things.
They were very uniform conscious.
They were.
But people say, well, the great thing about it is it's a great social leveller because you can't tell the class. You see, everyone... You see, of course it's not true. You can tell by their parents, for one thing, can't you? Their background, their home, things like that.
The face tattoo.
Yeah.
our kids have school uniform, and I would prefer it if they were a bit lax with the rules, because if everyone's too similar, it's really hard to recognise your one at the end of school. I have to do like you do at the airport. I tie a ribbon round their arm just so I know.
Grammar school is not really about helping kids from disadvantaged backgrounds. What it's about is it's kind of intellectual organ harvesting, really. They kind of think, we don't want bright kids from disadvantaged backgrounds to become radical and think our society is unjust and unequal and then move to the left. What we've got to do is convince them that society is fair, and if you work hard, and you'll get what you deserve. So really, grammar school is a bit like a big black car pulling up alongside you and two henchmen throwing you into the back, and there's Wilfred Hyde-White saying, we've been following you for some time, admiring your progress. Yes, you're a bright lad, aren't you? Be ashamed to see you spending your life in anarcho-syndicalism when you've got a bright future in the Conservative Party. Now do tell, when it comes to strike breaking, which is more effective, blacklisting or violence on the picket line? Because that's the other thing, is they've got to get the intel. They've got to find out how the poor think so they can oppress them properly. That's why you end up with people like Eric Pickles in the cabinet. So tell us, Eric, what's it like being from the north and poor? Are you black?
A lot of this grammar school fetish is driven by nostalgia, isn't it? Because grammar schools now are very different from the grammar schools of the 60s. I went to a direct grant grammar school in the 60s, and there were kids from all kinds of backgrounds. Whereas now, I mean, if they're really talking about social mobility, they're going to have to retrain a lot of head teachers. Because most modern grammar schools, all they're really interested in is the league tables.
So it's just football teams, really, that get to go to school.
I mean, I'm all in favour of mixed ability schools, because life is mixed ability, isn't it? I mean, when you leave school and you go into the world of work, you don't find that you exclusively work with bright people, do you?
By no means.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at Miles, but...
Vibrantly, this is the prospect that the government may drop the ban on new grammar schools, a move enthusiastically supported by middle-class parents, right up to the point where they're told that their children aren't intelligent enough to go to a grammar school. There is a rift in the Cabinet over this issue. Theresa May is thought to be very much in favour, while Education Secretary Justin Greening is thought to have been sent off to do woodwork. In other education news, police were called to a school in Margate after pupils were sent home for not wearing the correct uniform. Fortunately, the police were wearing the correct uniform. Helmet, badge, jumper, all in blue. They're only in yellow when they're policing away. 2 points to Kerry. Jeremy, who might be moving house?
Oh, the MPs. They're going to move out while they get their bathroom done. They're going to go and stay in a caravan in Vauxhall. Have you been in the Houses of Parliament? It's all manky, old, gaudy, red, velvety walk. It's horrible. But, I mean, they're only MPs, you know. They don't need to be free-range, do they? I mean, they need an office, for a few... The thing is, it's going to cost a fortune to get them out of there. They'll have to put them... They're saying the House of Lords will go into the QE2 centre. And they said the MPs will have to debate in the Department of Health. But I don't know why they can't just work from home. It's going to cost $4 billion to do Parliament up. But the SNP said, you should just turn that into a museum, which it kind of is. But that would be more expensive, because then if you turn it into a museum, you've got to put all the little labels that nobody reads. Basically, MPs will have to move out while Parliament's done up.
That's logical, though, isn't it? I mean, it's going to be cheaper in the long run. It's better that the MPs move out, because it'll be quicker. It'll be too slow if the builders have to keep stopping every half an hour to fend off sexual advances from MPs.
I'm surprised.
Slow it up, no end.
Could they not just tour it? Like any questions, Roby? And today, the House of Lords comes to you from the charming market town of Ludlow.
They could go on
Or just do it in school halls, couldn't they? I mean, I would just imagine to get the youth engaged with politics. When I was a teenager, I would have loved to have seen someone like Norman Lamont live. Because apparently he's absolutely at his best life. I mean, that's where you...
He's massive in Japan, Lamont.
Couldn't they just move Parliament to the headquarters of News International, cut out the middleman?
do wonder if they do move, whether the Labour Party will tell Jeremy Corbyn where they've gone. We've got that Olympic velodrome we're not using. That might be a fun place.
Oh, yeah. So they could just go around it while they're doing it, just because they've got no brakes on the bikes at the velodrome, have they? So they can't, once you're on one of those, it just doesn't stop.
Yeah, Boris will be all right.
Curiously, this is the news that MPs may have to move out of the House of Commons for 6 years while the building is refurbished. The House of Lords will also have to move, although even the noise of the construction work is unlikely to disturb the sleep of the Earl Baldwin of Bewdley, who, legend has it, can only be awoken with a kiss. The Lords will be moved to the Queen Elizabeth Conference Centre, which boasts meeting spaces on 7 levels, which, across a 6-year period, will almost certainly finish them all off. Not all MPs are in favour. It may be dilapidated, but the House has a charm all of its own, said one Labour MP while grating asbestos into Jeremy Corbyn's coffee. 2 points to Jeremy. And at the end of round 1, the scores are Andy and Lucy have 4, and so too to Kerry and Jeremy. We start round 2 with a cutting from the Shropshire Star.
Stench from Shropshire biogas site blamed on new employee.
Thanks to Gordon Cruikshank in Wimbledon for kicking up a stink about that piece of reporting. Andy, who wants investors to give him a sporting chance?
Oh, this is Mike Ashley, who owns Sports Direct, which is a sort of shop where young assistants charge around shouting, "I need a 7," into walkie-talkies. And he was trying to convince shareholders and journalists that he'd changed his ways and he'd been wrongly caricatured as some sort of dodgy Victorian-style employer. He took the cameras on a tour of his warehouse and he insisted that the security man subject him to exactly the same kind of search as the employees had been having. So he turned out his pockets and they were absolutely full of wads of £50 notes. He never explained where the cash came from. I don't know.
He said he'd been to the casino.
Did he?
Yeah.
I thought maybe he'd sold some orphans or something. Anyway, so it was an epic PR disaster. He also came out with my favourite quote of the week, which he said, well, the right hand did everything right, but the left hand was doing everything wrong, which is a wonderful premise for a horror movie, isn't it? His left hand was evil. Only the right could stop it. But anyway, he seemed very hurt and he pleaded for time. He says, give it a year. He's going to turn the company into John Lewis. And he says in the future they will definitely let staff go to the toilet and he may even install a toilet.
He does seem genuinely conflicted, though. It's like his conscience is telling him stuff, but he doesn't realise that he's actually saying his internal dialogue out loud. As he'll be saying, well, if I were to ask myself, am I the best employer in the world? I would probably say, no, Mike, we are not the best employer in the world. Which one of us is talking now? And I would say, no, I'm not Father Christmas. And then I would say back to myself, no, Mike, you are not Father Christmas. I'm Father Christmas, you're Mike Ashley. Who are we now, Mike?
He's basically a Cockney Gollum, isn't he? That's
I'm not that upset that he got a big wad of £50 notes out of it. I kind of thought, well, what do you expect him to get out of his pocket? A flute? I mean, he's a multi-billionaire. He doesn't give a toss of who knows it, and he's got a big wad of cash in his pocket.
It's the £50 notes. If it was a wad of notes, I think £50 notes, that's...
It was a bit odd. And when the journalist shouted out, that's a lot of cash there, he was like, yeah, just been down the casino, don't print that, while he's on 20 cameras. Strange.
I still get really excited if I see a £50 note. I would have, if I was there, I would just go, oh my God!
Are they real? I just throw them away. I just thought that they weren't.
Deciduously, this is the state of affairs at Sports Direct, where CEO and Scotch egg that has seen better days, Mike Ashley, is... is battling to retain the confidence of shareholders. Ashley visited his company's Sharbrook warehouse and, during a routine search procedure, produced a huge wad of £50 notes from his back pocket. This might have caused some distrust amongst the watching workers, but Ashley explained he'd been to the casino and his credentials as a man of the people were instantly restored. Lucky he wasn't wearing his other trousers, which contained the severed hands of agency staff that had arrived 1 minute late. On the plus side, Mike Ashley has now got rid of 0 hours contracts. I suppose everyone has their good points. Apparently Hitler was very fond of dogs. Our thanks to Ken Livingstone for sending that way in. 2 points to Andy. Kerry, have a listen to this. Kerry, dry your tears and answer me this. Who, it turns out, is unable to climb every mountain?
There was a whole campaign in Wales that 2016 was the year of adventure. This was all fronted by Bear Grylls and extreme athlete Richard Parkes. And then it's led to a surge in under-preparation and unskilled climbers calling out the rescue. So we said a surge. Last year there were 34 call-outs and this year there were 43. Is that a surge? There might be better phone reception up there this year so you can actually get hold of people. I'm stuck. I wore flip-flops.
What's weird with British people is when we're going to do something like climb K2 or try to contain an insurgency in Helmand province, we are completely unprepared, and yet people get really kitted up to go for a walk. You see people on a tow park, they've got special boots and special socks. These aren't ordinary socks, these are walking socks. I couldn't walk at all until I got these walking socks. And they've got special shorts with a special pocket to put in one of those things for building an igloo in case an ice age strikes when they're trying to get over a stile. And they've got those bloody ski sticks. It is flat and there's no ice. Why have you got ski sticks? All you're doing is walking along. You don't need to change into your superhero outfit to do that.
Well, they weren't doing that in Wales.
No, they
didn't have the gear.
And they went up Snowdon walking, not realising that there's a very nice train service that goes up. What it is, all this challenge stuff is based on this idea that basically people in Britain, most people in global terms, have a relatively safe and comfortable life, and rather than think, that's brilliant, we don't have volcanoes, we don't have earthquakes, we don't have famines, they think our life's too comfortable, let's have a challenge. If you want a challenge in Wales, try and have a civilised meal on a Friday night in Swansea. All these Bear, that's not your name, Bear, is it, Bear? Your name is not Bear. That was my nickname when I was a little boy. Apparently I looked like a bear when I was little, and my sister called me Bear. It kind of stuck, and everybody called, bloody grow up, you're a man! You're a man, you're not a bear, grow up!
Mel B had to urinate on him this week.
Good.
He got stung by a jellyfish and she said, I'll urinate on you.
On the wound?
Did she do it in a cup or do it straight on?
Just straight on. Like,
Keith Vance would probably
really
pay
struggled.
for that.
She really struggled because she said when you're on national television trying to have a wee, you wouldn't urinate on Bear Grylls just anyway, would you?
I would.
I would, like in a well-funded arts centre.
It's like nettles. Nettles are alkaline, so you put lemon juice, vinegar or wee on them.
Doesn't dock leaves work?
Dock leaves do work, yeah, but you've got to hang around the docks for years.
Oh, it sounds like quite a life.
There's been loads of mountains in the news. There was another mountain scoop.
That is absolutely right.
Yeah, a Cumbrian hill has now got mountain status, which is really exciting. All the other hills are really irritated about it.
It was called Calf Top.
Did they just dig away the ground around it to make it look
No,
taller?
they said it hasn't grown. It was something, Ordnance Survey said it was better measuring equipment. Before, it was only 2 millimetres shy of having mountain status.
6 millimetres.
No.
Okay. fine.
I've got 3/4 of an inch here.
Have you?
I have a fact about calf top. Geodetic analyst Mark Greaves said the peak appeared to be very, very close to being a mountain, but about 3/4 of an inch too low. Which I just thought that those sort of measurements do make all the difference, because my husband is just a few inches off being classified as a giant. So currently I'm living the life of a suburban housewife, but a couple of inches I'm living the life of a trapped princess.
With mountain status, is it how high above sea level it is, or how high it is off the ground? Sea level?
Sea level.
Okay, so if there was a little hillock, but it was somewhere that was really high up, that would be a mountain.
Like on a mountain? You haven't thought this through, Jeremy, have you? If it's really high up, you mean on a plateau?
Yeah, what if a plateau was like 1,000,000 miles up in the air, but it wasn't officially a mountain, and then there was a little tiny molehill there? That would be a mountain.
Like every hill in La Paz, wherever is actually, even like you go, just walked up a mountain because you're already so high above sea level.
I don't understand.
See, this is what I mean about the value of mixed ability class.
Seraphically, this is the news that rescue groups in Snowdonia say a surge in underprepared walkers has led to a sharp increase in the number of people requiring mountain rescue. Once again, mountain rescue brazenly standing in the way of natural selection. The Welsh Tourism Board has called 2016 the Year of Adventure, something certainly taken to heart by Keith Vaz. When asked for his opinion, Ken Livingstone said, "I cannot overstate the importance of wearing stout walking boots." Tell you who else wore stout walking boots. Hitler, 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 Hitler. 2 points to Kerry. Before we reveal the final scores, has anybody got a cutting that they would like to share?
I've got Stuart Knight in Appleby read this in The Sun. The former home of one of New York's most notorious mafia bosses, Albert Anastasia, is up for sale. The property's not changed in decades, although Anastasia himself has not lived there since his murder in 1957.
Lucy.
So this, from the BBC website, was sent in by Matthew Collins, Gary Banks, Peter Hobden and many more. Hybrid air vehicles have denied a report that their airship test flight has been a failure. The flight went really well and the only issue was when it landed.
Kerry.
This was sent in by Kit McCarthy, saw this sign at Belbaxter High School. It was a refuge action sign. In the event of fire, this refuge provides fire and smoke protection for approximately 10 minutes. The evacuation plan in operation within these premises ensures that assistance will arrive at this point within 11 minutes.
Jeremy.
This was sent in by Ian Wilson, who's the head teacher of St Margaret's Lee Primary School in Lewisham. And it's advice from the police. Please collect your child from St Margaret's Church as we are evacuating the school as a precaution. There has been an unexploded bomb found opposite Mr Wilson.
Thank you. And now let's take a look at the final score. Kerry and Jeremy have 8, but this week's winners are Andy and Lucy with 9. Oh. Before we leave you, here is a cutting from the Age newspaper sent in by Felix Parker in Sydney.
Police seek hardened criminal after penis pump is stolen from sex shop.
And with that, goodbye.
Taking part in the news quiz were Andy Hamilton, Lucy Porter, Kerry Godliman and Jeremy Hardy. In the chair was Miles Jupp and the news was read by me, Zeb Soames. The chair script was written by Gareth Gwynn, James Kettle and Gráinne Maguire, with additional material by Dan Hooper and Liam Byrne. The producer was Paul Sheehan and it was a BBC Studios production. We present the news quiz with your host, Miles Jupp. Hello!
welcome to the news quiz. We start with a cutting from the German tabloid The Bild, read by Zeb Soanes.
The progression of wind energy trade fair continues today as planned, after it was necessary to evacuate the lightweight exhibition halls yesterday due to a cyclone.
Our thanks to Thomas Warden for sending that in. Now let's meet the teams. Really welcome first on my right, Jeremy Hardy and Times columnist Daniel Finkelstein. And opposite them on my left, Sarah Kendall and Lucy Porter. Jeremy, which secretary hasn't been taking their boss's dictation?
Sadly, it falls to me to mention the name of Boris Johnson. Basically, the Conservative Party has a really elaborate way of choosing a leader. You start with a basis of disloyalty towards the leader, and then you call a referendum into Britain's membership of the European Union, in which one of the main contenders blatantly lies about the benefits of Brexit, and in fact carries on using the same lie into the future. And then that side wins the referendum, and then there's a kind of weird sort of Mexican standoff where everyone's dead and then Theresa May pops up unscathed from behind a bullet-strewn counter and then did a really weird thing because Boris Johnson had been executed for her by Michael Gove, and she then gave him the job of Foreign Secretary, which storing up. I mean, you just think, why would you know there's going to be problems? The weird thing about Theresa May is she's not only is she incredibly ambitious and scheming and calculating, but she's really bad at it. She's like a homeopathic poisoner. So now she's got the problem that he's just humiliating her at every turn. She's got to make a speech in Florence. She's like the woman at the beginning of a horror film that's looking for the dog, and the dog's run away, and then there's a weird yelping sound, and the dog goes silent, and she decides to go looking for the dog. And it's 3 minutes into the horror film, and you're just thinking, bye-bye, Teresa. So, but we don't know what she's going to say, because this show is being recorded in 1994. But apparently she's going to be, was it open and warm and generous? Stable and warm? Flanagan and Allen? Basically, when Theresa May puts together two adjectives with an and in the middle, you know she's in trouble.
Well, one of the things she might be doing is offering, and I'm not saying it's a good offer, but offering 20 million, or is it 20 billion? I mean, one of the big ones. Is it billion?
A billion or million, it's in our
billion or money. I mean, it's, look after the millions and the billions look after themselves.
I just love that thing with the 350 million, because when he was challenged about it, he said we weren't going to get it, we were going to take control of it. Yeah. And I was just looking forward to coming home to my wife and saying, I've got £10 million of salary this year. We're not actually going to be paid it, but we are going to take control of it.
It's a bit like hijacking a plane. It's not mine, but I'm going to crash it.
I did actually travel once on a plane with Boris Johnson and Michael Gove at the back of a small private plane, and basically there we were over the Atlantic in the middle of nowhere, possibly going to crash, and I've now realised it wasn't a trip, it was a metaphor.
Boris had to change his flight, didn't he, so that he could be on a plane with Theresa, which either that or he was flying Ryanair. But I don't know. I mean, it is exciting for us not knowing what she's going to say. The listeners will know what she said.
A lot of them can read.
It is Radio 4, you're right. They do enjoy that.
She did make the shadow cabinet leave the meeting all holding hands in a crocodile for their own safety. There was this very eggy sort of buddy sort of camaraderie between Hammond and... It reminded me of the good old days of Blair and Brown pretending to like drinking beer together.
Oh, yeah. So they spent their afternoon sort of going ice skating and then heading off to Pizza Express together. Children's party. A very nice image, the idea of Boris being forced to get the same plane as Theresa. I mean, it must have looked like, I think all parents will know the idea, seeing an incredibly stressed mother with an unruly toddler, basically, that she's desperately got to placate with offers of chocolate.
Sticking peanuts up his nose.
Boris, stop kicking the seat in front of you.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Hammering on the door of the cockpit and so forth.
I kind of like the fact that Boris now, he's launched his kind of, hang on, this is my vision for Brexit, this is my 10-point plan. And it's like, well, it has taken you over a year to come up with it. And, because actually, if you remember the day after the vote, I mean, Boris Johnson and Michael Gove, they had the ashen-faced look of there's a dead stripper in the next room,
I'm always really suspicious in politics when anyone comes up with a 10-point plan. Because if you'd actually had a real plan, what are the chances it would have exactly 10 points, right? It would have 7 points, wouldn't it? Or 11 points. So when someone comes up with a 10-point plan, you can be pretty sure they've just made it up.
And is Boris going, 10 looks good next to my name, doesn't it?
I think they're both history, I think. I mean, they're May and Johnson are trapped in this sort of abusive, codependent relationship, like Joan Crawford and Bette Davis in Whatever Happened to Baby. But they're both finished. It's not going to be either of them who leads the part. I don't even think it will be. Zoe the other week said Rees-Mogg is like a Dickens character, but I think even Dickens would say, no one's going to believe this dick. I mean, it's... I'll scrap Mr. Povgrinder. It'll probably be, I think it'll probably be Ruth Davidson, because she's revived the Tories in Scotland. I mean, and she's done amazingly well because she's an out gay woman. I'm not sure many Scottish Conservatives know what a lesbian is, in fairness. Never been to Lebanon myself, but apparently that... Arabs are fine horse people and very good with falcons. And she looks like a practical lassie, doesn't she? No doubt a keen golfer.
Basically, David Cameron called the referendum in order to stop Tory infighting. Well, that has gone swimmingly, hasn't it? That's absolute result for that one.
But it does feel like Theresa May will just keep going. I don't know what... She reminds me... I once broke up with a guy... And I thought the conversation had gone in the direction of we've broken up. And then he went, okay. And then he said, so what are we having for dinner tonight? And I just kind of went, okay. And then he just stayed and he didn't go. And I think it would be impossible to break up with Theresa May in the same way. I think you go, it's over. And she'd go, okay, but I'm still your Prime Minister, right?
David Davis is doing a good job. Danny?
The thing is, I think it's intrinsically really, really difficult.
People have known it was
in other words, I'm not sure
it's
it's possible to do a good job at it. If I did do that, then I might have voted for it, but as I didn't think that, I didn't vote for it. So everyone concentrates on whether he's doing it really well, but in my view, it's one of Baldrick's cunning plans, Brexit. I don't think this is a stupid approach to solving an almost insoluble problem.
It's like when you've parked in a really tight parking space. I think for David Davis, it's like he's trying to get out of the parking space and there's always like a crowd of blokes turn up and tell you how you should be doing it.
You could make an argument that says it was a bad idea to join the EU, but it's one of those things that once you're in, it's probably impossible to get out. It's like it would be a bad idea to get a pacemaker from Wix, but an even worse idea to try and remove it yourself.
This is Theresa May's forthcoming Brexit speech in Florence. We're told not to expect an immediate breakthrough as a result of the speech, for which I think I speak for every man, woman and child in this country when I say, Christ. May is expected to offer €20 billion over 2 years for access to the single market, which, as an opening move, seems about as confident and clear-minded as moving your king's pawn onto a triple word score and shouting, house, twist, snap, buckaroo! In the Telegraph, Boris brought up once again the £350 million a week we could supposedly spend on the NHS, one of two largely discredited figures mentioned in the article, if you also count the author. Boris set out his own vision of Brexit, despite not being part of the official negotiating team. As part of the Foreign Office reorganisation, he's currently only supposed to focus on supermarket openings, church fetes, children's parties and horseplay. Responding to the article, Theresa May said, Boris is Boris, notably refraining from saying it a third time in case he appeared behind her and took her away to the land of the goblins. Home Secretary Amber Rudd openly criticised Boris, which is a departure for cabinet colleagues who normally just sit opposite each other in an atmosphere of festering silent hatred that more usually accompanies the third decade of a marriage. When you're just waiting for one of you to die and you're not really bothered which of you it is. Amber Rudd accused the Foreign Secretary of backseat driving, which is unfair as it implies he has something helpful to contribute. He's more like a dog that howls along to the radio, then tries to climb out of the window every time you stop at the traffic lights. Boris, of course, one of the select breed of celebrities who is most often referred to by one name, like Madonna, although, unlike Madonna, his sexually explicit 90s coffee table book had a lot more footnotes and was, I believe, extensively peer-reviewed. 3 points to Jeremy. Danny, who united the nations in disapproval?
Well, this will be Donald Trump, as usual. And he made a speech in which he said of Kim Jong-un, Rocket Man is on a suicide mission, which probably has exhausted his Elton John metaphors. I think that was a song from the album Don't Drop a Nuclear Bomb on Me, I'm Only a Piano Player. I think pretty much all of his attempts to make a presidential speech were covered by the fact that people thought he was threatening a nuclear war. I think Funeral for a Friend would have been a better Elton John song.
Do you think people looked, I mean, in the hall when he's making it, people seemed to look genuinely mortified by what he was saying?
Yes, his own chief of staff put both hands on his head at one point during the speech. And I think that probably sums up, if your own chief of staff basically does that, you're in quite a lot of trouble.
Do you know what the North Korean delegation did?
No, you're about to tell me.
They walked out, stroppy.
Do you think Donald Trump has ever said anything and someone's replied, all right, clever clogs?
I'm a huge Elton John fan, so I mean...
Any excuse.
I love the Rocket Man reference. And look, I found his speech pointless and baffling, so I set myself the pointless and baffling challenge of writing an entire speech made up of Elton John lyrics. It's what I would deliver at the United Nations if I was going to really do it properly.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, let's have it.
So here we go. You ready, guys? This is my Elton John reference-packed United Nations speech. So thank you, United Nations, for having me here today. I'm honoured to be standing here on the same spot Nikita Khrushchev stood in 1960 and bashed his shoe on the table. Oh, Nikita, you'll never know anything about my home. And I'll never know how good it feels to hold you. None of us ever expected me to be standing here today giving this speech. When I was down, I was your clown. And people think I'm angling for a war and that I get off on fighting, and that's false, because the simple truth is this. The biggest kick I ever got was doing a thing called the crocodile rock. I wish we could bridge this divide between our two nations, but no one is listening to me. I mean, what have I got to do to be heard? What have I got to do when lightning strikes me? What have I got to do? What have I got to do when sorry seems to be the hardest word? We cannot afford to stumble into a nuclear war, as there is only one planet that we can call our home, and that is Earth. I'm sure we might be able to travel to other planets, but Mars ain't the kind of place to raise your kids. In fact, it's cold as hell. And there's no one there to raise them if you did. Kim Jong-un, this behaviour is lunacy. As one baby man to another, I say, when are you going to come down? When are you going to land? Should have stayed on the farm. Should have listened to my old man. You got to get back, honky cat. You're going back to the woods. Now, you do not want a war with the United States of America. My close friend and staunchest ally, Benjamin Netanyahu, has promised his full military support. That's right. Benny. 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 And the Jets. All I want is peace, but if you want a war, Saturday night's all right for fighting.
Well, that's a show in the can.
I similarly have been thinking about things. I was thinking if Donald Trump decided to reply in verse, it might not be quite so erudite. I thought he might do. There was a young man from Pyongyang who had an unusual plan. He'd send rockets to Guam to do lots of harm and start World War III with a bang.
Jeremy, I believe you prepared a song for us.
I've been working on a contemporary dance piece about the Armenian genocide, which I'd like to perform for you now.
This is Donald Trump's speech to the United Nations in New York, where he said that if necessary, the US would totally destroy North Korea. During his speech, Trump referred to Kim Jong-un as Rocket Man, thereby employing the unusual tactic of mocking a sworn enemy by giving them a really cool nickname. All I'm saying is if Assad doesn't buck his ideas up, he'd better get used to being called Commander Big Willie Sexy Face. The Swedish Prime Minister, that is a cool name, isn't it? It's a cool. The Swedish Prime Minister said that Trump had given the wrong speech at the wrong time to the wrong audience, especially given that Trump began his address with the words, "Barbara may think she's marrying a straight-laced chartered accountant, but when we were at agricultural college together, this guy was an absolute beast." Trump warned of the dangers coming from authoritarian regimes, which, given his recent performance as president, is very much the pot calling the kettle black, and then marching with torches, demanding the kettle goes back to where it came from. Trump accused Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro of stealing power, rather than having it bestowed upon one by Vladimir Putin via the baptismal urine of a Russian prostitute. Yes, you were on Pick of the Week again, Miles. Very good. Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro responded by calling Trump the new Hitler, disappointing those of us who were hoping the next Hitler would be a woman. You feel differently about these things when you have daughters. 2 points to Danny. Sarah, who's not flying in the face of adversity?
Ryanair. They've had to cancel thousands of flights because they haven't got enough pilots, crucial part of the airline business structure. And it turns out that this is sort of coming out in the wash, that there's a very unhappy work culture in at Ryanair, that they're underpaid and overworked. And it's just one of those stories that you read and you kind of think, there are certain professions where it's really vital that the people employed are well rested and well paid. And I just think airline pilot is one of them. Like, I'm a comedian. If I'm overtired, that's okay. Like, I've never got off stage and gone, I was a little bit exhausted tonight, and the entire front row was dead. I mucked up a joke about escalators and 23 souls perished. So, you know, like, I think we recognise that there are certain jobs, like that's why we pay nurses and teachers so well. Because we've acknowledged the importance of what they do.
What they could do is make pilots one of the frills, you know, that the passengers have to pay more for. That's what budget airlines do. You can fly to America for £1, but you have to pay more if you want a seat or luggage or an engine. So they could do that with the pilots, couldn't they? I mean, the thing about pilots being rested is they're so pissed that, I don't know, it makes that much difference. I mean, why do you think they have automatic pilot? You know, the people flying the planes are so out of it. They've got to press that button where, you know, like I've seen an airplane, I know how these things work. The inflatable pilot takes over and lands the plane. That's how it works. It's not like the 633 squadron anymore.
Yeah, I mean, most of it's sort of done remotely now. So that's why it takes so long for the trolley to come round, because they are absolutely hovering it all up in there, aren't they?
They said it's all about the pilots' holiday raters. So you think, well, but why don't they just publish where the pilots are going on holiday, and then they could just fly there, and then problem solved? Because I bet pilots go on really nice places on holiday because they know where's good to go, don't they? I reckon going on holiday with the Ryanair crew would be fun because they look filthy. BA, you go, oh, you know, it'd probably be, you know, it'd be walking holidays somewhere. But the Ryanair crew, that would be Sea and Sangria.
Tray tables in the upright position, if you know what I mean. Brace yourselves. It is the sort of plane where it's delayed and then a man comes on with a spanner and you think, oh dear God.
I think O'Leary, he's got a very strange attitude to things. He's always got this sort of slightly Gerald Ratner quality to his pronouncements. It's never quite gone far enough to censor himself. This one, he said the situation is clearly a mess, but 98% of passengers are unaffected, which, like in airline terms, 98% of this plane is not currently on fire. Oh, that's relaxing enough, isn't it?
At least we're not like the Japanese crashing their planes into ships and all that shite. It's an honour thing with them, 'tis.
Well, he did say, he said, oh, you know, it's fine because people will still book with us because we're cheap. And the awful thing is that, yeah, of course we will. It's British people love a bargain more than we care about. I mean, if you said it's cheap but the wing might fall off, then most people go, oh, but how cheap?
This is the latest news from Ryanair, who have cancelled more than 2,000 flights after a cock-up over the rostering of their pilots. Ryanair is now said to be desperately trying to save its reputation, which sounds rather like a case of shutting the stable door after the horse has set up an absolutely appalling airline company. The crisis prompted a defiant press conference from Ryanair boss Michael O'Leary, a man who has taken the concept of no frills and extended it to his own personality. Michael O'Leary claimed that passengers who were boycotting the company would eventually return due to its low prices, upholding Ryanair's commitment to providing its customers with a heady mix of low-cost travel and sheer unadulterated contempt. 2 points to Sarah. And at the end of round one, the scores are Sarah and Lucy have 4, but Jeremy and Daniel have 5. We start round 2 with an excerpt from South Africa's Cape Times newspaper.
The South African National Defence Force has launched an investigation into an accident at a military base, in which, during a fire prevention exercise, 83 military vehicles were completely destroyed by fire.
Thanks to Robin Mosley for sending us that. Lucy, which cable is attempting to reach a broadband?
Oh, very clever. Well, now this relates to what I think we'll all agree, the television treat of the year, which was the coverage of the Lib Dem conference in Bournemouth. It was like Game of Thrones on crack. It was extraordinary. You know, the Lib Dem conference, always dull. It's like, to be honest though, I quite liked watching the Lib Dem conference this year because it was like with potential nuclear Armageddon, the Tories imploding. The Lib Dem conference was like a lovely sort of palate cleansing sorbet of dullness in between everything else. All the great Lib Dems were there. There was Tim Farron was there, Joe Swinson was there. It's hard. It's like trying to name famous Belgians, isn't it? You know. Lib Dems you've heard of. If you get to 5, then, you know, write in and I'll send you a book token. Well, Vince Cable was there. Vince Cable is now apparently the leader of the Lib Dems. Who knew? I was thinking about this, and I think, you know, like in the Tories and Labour Party, there's people jockeying for position, desperate to be leader. I think with the Lib Dems being leader, it's more like jury duty. Where everyone has to have a go. I think Vince Cable probably thought he'd got away with it. He was like, oh, I can probably retire, never having had to do it. And they were like, no, Vince, it's your turn. Come on, you can't be worse than Tim was. Vince Cable said it's perfectly plausible that he could become Prime Minister. And you can tell Vince Cable doesn't really want to be Prime Minister. All he wants to do is have a nap and watch Homes Under the Hammer.
I was involved in the last days of the SDP. And in fact, so we ran in a by-election at one point, and the person who was running the by-election ran into headquarters and on the phone and said, we've scored, the winner of this by-election scored 74.73%. And the headquarters said, you don't actually need to give it to 2 decimal points. And she said, oh, I do, otherwise we didn't get anything. And I turned up to the last conference of the SDP, and I overheard a TV commentator going, if we can make the commentary bad enough, we won't have to come back next year. And it was indeed and on the very, very last moment of the conference, I was on the platform. We all stood up, and because we moved our chairs back, we knocked the set over. And that was the end of the SDP.
Vince Cable, the thing about the Lib Dems is they're a completely busted I mean, they just haven't noticed that people are absolutely furious with them. And Vince Cable, who did, to his credit, forewarn the country that the banks were going to crash because they were not regulated. Once he was in government, didn't mention that the banks had crashed themselves, was happy to carry on with the lie that Labour had somehow caused an international banking crisis. And he was the last Liberal that anyone had any remaining affection for, and then he privatised the Royal Mail. And now he's just got the demeanour of somebody who knows he's about to do something that he knows is wrong, and he's getting his belligerence first. My message to the country is, stop me before I kill again.
Have you covered Lib Dem conferences as a journalist?
I've been to lots of Liberal Democrat conferences. I don't go anymore. It's really embarrassing. Matthew Parris said that he's been for years, and so therefore he still goes because he feels it would be mean not to.
Because this one was quite sparsely attended, wasn't it? It wasn't like the hall wasn't full for Cable's big speech.
No, it's really difficult. It is very difficult for journalists to cover week after week of conferences, so they're quite happy. Like, you don't have to go to UKIP anymore. Now you don't have to go to the Liberal Democrats. So soon they'll finish off the Tories, and then I'll just have to go to one.
I do think it is genuinely difficult, as you say, to make centrist policies sound sexy. Really, if you want to get noticed now, you just have to be an abomination of a human. If Vince Cable really wanted to get noticed, he should have just walked on stage in leather trousers and strangled a squirrel or something. And then like 75 million people would have clicked on it. And of those 75 million, like 7% would go, I think he's showing leadership material.
I ran for Parliament as a SDP and Liberal candidate. I was only 23 years old at the time, basically much too young to be a candidate. I've got a letter at home from the Citizens Advice Bureau saying, "Dear Mr. Finkelstein, it was so nice to meet you, comma, and your mother."
This is Vince Cable's first speech as party leader at the Lib Dem conference, which took place this week in Bournemouth. Cable is 74 and came out of retirement last year to become party leader, which explains why the speech began with him asking, "Mind if I turn your heating up?" before segueing into a lengthy and, to be honest, somewhat repetitive story about wool. Vince's speech was met by an enthusiastic round of applause, despite how dangerous it is to wake someone up who's essentially sleepwalking. The conference was sparsely attended. At one point, Vince got a standing ovation when one chap got up to use the bathroom and another stood up to let him pass. Given the state of the Lib Dems in Westminster, Vince Cable can now count on the support of basically 12 people, so much like Jesus, and another underrated visionary who rose from the dead to preach social justice before dying alone on a wooden cross because no one could forget that time he lied about tuition fees. Also at the party conference, hawkers were selling £5 laminated photos of former leader Tim Farron, which make a stylish addition to any homemade shrine, or at a pinch, makeshift waterproof lining for a medium-sized litter tray and an unfussy cat. 2 points to Lucy. Danny, who do we now have an extra reason to call His Royal Highness?
Well, this will be the Duke of Cambridge, who was this week asking for expert advice on whether drugs should be legalised. I'm not allowed to insult the royal family, actually, because my grandmother used to always regard that as having come to this country as the sort of symbol of stability. And she used to have a saying, which is, while the Queen is safe in Buckingham Palace, we are safe in Hendon Central, which was sort of the root of my politics. But
well, what do you think? I mean, he must know about drugs. I mean, he's got money. I mean, he did spend his youth hanging around on huge estates, no prospect of any worthwhile employment. In fact, generations of jobless in that family. Guns everywhere. It's just dysfunction, isn't it? The whole thing.
I read the article, and the article sort of described what had happened, and they said, that Prince William had visited a drug addiction charity and had asked the assembled group for their thoughts on drugs legalisation. He gave no opinion on the topic, and he thanked them and went home. That's an article about a grown man making chit-chat. It's this thing about the common touch. It's like people are just so excited when a royal doesn't demand someone go and get them a sandwich or behead them or something.
Yeah, but William and Harry are really good at it now. I mean, they've revived the royal family because they just pose as normal people. When they meet normal people, say, yeah, soccer's great, isn't it? We call it kick rugby. It's great. I don't understand why you don't pick the ball up and run with it. Is it something to do with social housing?
This is Prince William's visit to a drug addiction charity in Spitalfields, where he asked recovering addicts if they thought drugs should be decriminalised. It's possible that he may have overestimated his influence on these issues, given that for the rest of his life, the most important decisions he will have to make will be about what kind of hat he wears on a balcony. I suppose that if Prince William's been going to East London and asking about drugs, that makes him very much the Prince Harry of the royal family. We don't know if the royals have an official dealer or whether this is yet another role assumed by Prince Andrew for purely ceremonial purposes. All of this does raise the very real possibility that when the Queen asks the public, "And what do you do?" she could be asking an entirely different question altogether. 2 points to Danny. Sarah, have a listen to this.
Private slippers man, private slippers man, private slippers man, private slippers man. No longer on the land, the private slippers man.
Sarah, who had a Nazi surprise?
Oh, this was a story about a retiree up in Scotland who was disgusted. He bought a pair of moccasins, and on the sole of the moccasins, on the underside of the shoe, there was a sort of honeycomb print. And there was definitely, if you took in a section of the honeycomb pattern, there was a swastika, and he was very upset and disgusted about this particular aspect of the moccasin. And I'm just guessing that it's an honest mistake. It just feels a little too subtle for the Nazi party.
Was it on both or just on the alt-right? I mean, you do get weird things like that. I mean, I was about to try on a jacket the other day, and I saw it had Nazi insignia on the inside. It said Hugo Boss. Oh, come on, he bloody funded the... It wasn't just like, oh, really, I'll make some suits, I'm just a humble tailor. He funded them, and he was their chief stylist.
But they're so slimming.
My mother was a Holocaust survivor, and she would have thought I was completely ridiculous. I remember when Ronald Reagan went to Bitburg, the SS cemetery, then there was a big fuss, and he had to go to Belsen to balance it out. And I heard this on the radio. I came down to my mum, and I said, Mum, Ronald Reagan's going to Belsen. And without turning around, she replied, so what? I've been.
You do wonder how long you'd have to stare at the soles of your own slippers before you started to see swastikas.
Well, it would be if you went out, if it had been snowing or something, and you went out and, you know, your neighbours kind of just noticed that you've left a trail of swastikas behind you.
That's Sam out for his messages. There's swastikas all down the close.
Problem with Nazi shoes is you get one normal lace and then you get a master lace.
That's how we beat them.
Not just that, this guy put a scathing review of the slippers on Amazon as well. So fascism is being fought on all fronts. This is the news that a pensioner in Perth has complained to Amazon after purchasing a pair of slippers online, only to discover, and I'm using the word discover here to mean partly hallucinate, a swastika pattern on the rubber soles. Yet more evidence that Amazon is absolutely decimating independent high street anti-Semites. Of course, this sort of thing's everywhere. I went to B&Q recently and bought a hammer and sickle. Well, it looked exactly like a hammer and sickle. Disgraceful. Sam Purdy decided to buy the £15 slippers after they appeared perfectly respectable online, but on opening the package, he was horrified to find the soles covered in the Nazi symbol. It's easily done, actually. It happens with quite a lot of the old tanks I buy. Mr. Purdy said the slippers would never go on his feet, which means they'll have to spend the rest of their days in Argentina, living under an assumed name. 2 points to Sarah. Lucy, you were back there for a moment, were you?
It was in the 90s. I was back in the 90s, my heyday.
Was it your heyday? No, this is your heyday, Lucy, for heaven's sake.
I'm still in my prime.
You're on the radio talking about Nazis. What could be better? Lucy, who caught a chill on a hill?
Okay, yeah, this is about a man called Nathan French. If you Google Nathan French, there's a few. There's a volleyball player. There's like an American charismatic preacher. This Nathan French is an idiot. He is a 19-year-old idiot who developed hypothermia after climbing Mount Snowdon in his underpants. Apparently, Nathan said he didn't realise that the mountains of North Wales would be so cold and inhospitable. I mean, really, even the pubs of North Wales are cold and inhospitable. He was climbing to raise money for the charity Dementia UK. Getting lost on a mountain, having to be rescued. I mean, it's consciousness raising of a sort. He raised £100, presumably a lot of awareness, not so much of the charity, but of the fact that climbing a mountain in your kecks is incredibly stupid. I think what Nathan lacks in brains, though, he makes up for in confidence, because I'm not sure how many men would be photographed in their underpants on top of a mountain in chilly Wales. I don't personally own a penis, but I'm reliably informed that they don't present themselves to best advantage in the cold. But he stood there, he had his photo taken in these underpants. He's also clearly a very honest person, because he didn't do what any of us would have done, which is walk up the mountain in clothes and then just take your clothes off for the picture at the top. My mum always told me, you should always wear a clean pair of pants in case you need to be rescued, but I don't think she meant just a clean pair of pants.
I think it's easy to underestimate what your body can handle, because I similarly pushed my body to the limits when I was 19. When I was at college, somebody left half a meat pie out on the front lawn of the college, right? And it was there for 5 days. And in those 5 days, it rained, it was really humid, it was really sunny, it was like every weather pattern. And after 5 days, it was still there. And one of my friends said to me, "Sarah, I'll give you $1 if you eat that." And I thought about it, and I said, "Make it 50 cents and you got a deal." And I ended up in hospital.
That really is an alarming cautionary tale.
I would read the labels on the packaging of prepared goods that you buy, because I doubt it said "leave pie on front lawn for 5 days."
Yeah. It had ants on it and everything.
Really?
Protein?
Yeah. Best before you did that sign.
Best before covered in ants.
This is the story of Nathan French, who climbed Mount Snowdon in just a pair of Superman pants before having to call an ambulance with suspected hypothermia. Mr. French was raising money for dementia and, it seems, carrying out some form of research. Mr. French said, "I was surprised by how cold I got. For some people, life really is one glorious epiphany after another." It's ridiculous to attempt to climb a mountain in your underpants. Where are you supposed to keep your Kendall mint cake? Do write in with your suggestions. The rescue company has put a 10-point checklist for how to avoid the need to be rescued on their website. The first of which is always check the weather, while the remaining 9 can be summarised as don't climb a mountain in your pants. But I think we can all agree that if this much fuss is caused by a man climbing a mountain to raise money for charity, by far the best thing to do is keep your feet on the ground and simply let others suffer. We don't know what Mr. French plans to do next. Perhaps swim the channel in a pair of sturdy walking boots and a rucksack containing sandwiches. 2 points to Lucy. Jeremy, who's been peering at some expenses?
The Electoral Reform Society has been looking at expenses of the House of Lords, and I can't remember all the figures, but there were a number of members of the House of Lords who had spoken fewer than 5 times in a year, and yet their total expenses came to something like 4 million, and apparently you can get 300 quid a day just for turning up. The thing is, though, when you consider the 24-hour care that the House of Lords provides, if we had to look after these people in their own homes, I think it would actually work out more expensive. So really, I mean, and it's a wonderful thing. If it ever comes on the telly, it's a bit like EastEnders. You think, oh my God, I thought he was dead. Norman Tebbit takes over the Queen Vic. It's like, you slag. You're not family.
How many hereditary peers are there now? Danny, is this your area of expertise?
82 to 92, I can't remember.
Because now the sort of makeup of it, we used to think, well, it was sort of mad old people or whatever, and then they had the sort of hereditary peers thing, and I thought, it was quite a good idea getting rid of hereditary peers. I think that's, but you didn't think it would be a good idea because they would then be replaced with people like Alan Sugar and Karen Brady or whatever. You think, hang on a minute, what's going on? But eventually they're going to have contestants from The Apprentice taking up seats in the House of Lords.
Yeah, they replaced hereditary peers with hereditary disorders, basically.
It's quite, you talk about the hereditary peers, it's quite a weird experience being called Finkelstein and coming into the House of Lords, and I got an email from somebody called Marquesov, and I thought it was someone from my synagogue, actually, and then I read it again and it said Marquesov Lothian.
Well, they say they're lazy, but, you can't blame them for all that leaping they do at Christmas, really.
This is a report into the House of Lords which reveals that peers who have spoken only 5 times or less in the chamber in the last year have nevertheless claimed a total of more than £4 million in expenses. The study analysed over 700 peers' expense records, which must have made extremely compelling reading, if your idea of extremely compelling reading is 700 receipts saying gin in a can. The House of Lords is, of course, where people go once they've served their useful contribution to public life and have nothing more to offer. So one shouldn't be too harsh on what is essentially democracy's Radio 4. One yearns for the days when lords would be rewarded by their tenants handing over a tenth of their fruit and veg and the virginity of their eldest daughter, before this was phased out in the late 1980s. 2 points to Jeremy. Before we reveal the final scores, has anybody got a cutting that they'd like to share?
This was sent in by an anonymous listener, and it's an excerpt from the Cannock and Rougeley Chronicle. The French Defence Minister, Florence Parly, warns that North Korea may be closer than previously thought to building missiles capable of hitting Europe, which is all the more reason to leave the EU.
Danny.
Pauline Porter saw this in the Daily Telegraph Your Money section regarding travel insurance. Direct Line said that it will cover medical claims and disrupted travel, but the baggage claims are assessed case by case.
Sarah.
Sam Godden and a few other listeners received an email from Dobby's Garden Centres this week with the following subject line: Massive member event starts tomorrow.
Lucy.
Grace Fenwick saw this in a local paper. It was about the actor Gerard Butler staying in Galloway recently while filming a new movie. It said, Butler made a surprise visit to a community fair in Wigtonshire and even tucked into a delicious pancake made by a volunteer. Straight afterwards, Butler made an unplanned visit to the wards of Galloway Community Hospital.
Thank you. And now let's take a look at the final scores. Sarah and Lucy have 8, but this week's winners are Jeremy and Daniel with 9. Before we leave you, here is an email subject line from a BBC newsletter sent in by Trevor J. Saxby and dozens of others.
What makes a psychopath? Strictly stars hit the red carpet.
And with that, goodbye.
Taking part in the news quiz were Jeremy Hardy, Daniel Finkelstein, Sarah Kendall and Lucy Porter. In the chair was Miles Jupp and the news was read by me, Zeb Soames. The chair script was written by Madeleine Brettingham, Max Davis and James Kettle, with additional material by Daniel Grufferty and Jenny Lavelle. The producer was Joe Nunnery and it was a BBC Studios production.
We present the news quiz with your host, Miles Jupp.
Hello, and welcome to the news quiz. We start with a cutting from the Hampshire Organic Gardening Group newsletter, read by Corrie Caulfield.
Come along to a talk by Kate and Eleanor about how to grow your own produce. Kate and Eleanor have been friends for 30 years, having met while pregnant through a mutual friend.
Our thanks to Richard Riding in Radlett for sending that in. Now let's meet the teams. Will you welcome first, on my right, Mark Steele and Zoe Lyons. And opposite them, on my left, Desiree Birch and Fred Macaulay. Mark, who's issued a stormy regional forecast?
I don't really know what that refers to, but it is almost certainly going to be about Brexit. Most questions are now on anything, really. The first question on pointless, anything, is probably on first 5 minutes of the snooker is almost certainly about Brexit. And there has been a series of reports have come out, and they've been hovering around for ages, and the government's not released them, and that's saying that that whatever happens with Brexit, we're going to be worse off than if it didn't happen. And then Ian Duncan Smith was as jovial as he always is on this, right? Because when he was asked, well, what have you got to say about this? You know, the government's own reports say that we're going to be worse off. He said, oh, don't take any notice of those. Our reports are always wrong. I mean, that's brilliant. Oh, don't listen to us. We're idiots. So what's the point of listening to us? So... And yet there seems to... And the more that somewhere voted for Brexit, it seems, the more likely it is that area is going to be worse off because of Brexit. So this has just done people's heads. I mean, straight away, to start with, I think, with the referendum, a lot of people blamed the result on old people, but I think that's right. But then mean, all these people, the people that the most angry people are the people on the side that won. Yeah, we won, and we ought to be coming out of Europe now. Well, we are. Yeah, and now that's what's making me angry. Now, we should go back in so we could come out again. We're not coming out enough times. And angry about anything. I found a centipede in the house this morning. I said, what are you doing in here, you metric little bastard? We voted to get rid of you. Get out, you French foreign legs. I'm going to have an inchy-pede put in its place. I'm sick of it. Angry. And David Davis is the person doing it. He doesn't. I quite like him. He just sort of turns up like, oh, God, what are we doing again? Like he's the one who's turned up half an hour late. Oh, let's have a look at me cake. Oh, I haven't brought me papers at all to Brussels. I brought me MOT certificate by mistake.
So you think the Leavers are angry. How do you feel about it, Mark?
I don't know. I mean, I did
sort of ambivalent. That's the whiff I'm getting off you.
I just think it's. At the time of the referendum, I thought I don't think it's going to be that disastrous, really, to be honest. But now I think it's just brilliant. I'm quite enjoying it, to be honest. It's just utter chaos. No one knows who's going to be prime minister in a week's time. They're only keeping her in because they think, oh God, they don't know who to put in her place, do they? And oh, I don't know. What about him? Well, he has been arrested for murder. What? Get round
she
that.
Still remains quite positive throughout the whole thing, which I don't know what she's on, really, because it's like she almost doesn't watch the news. I mean, I do have trouble sometimes making out what she is saying because her head is so firmly buried in the sand.
Where are you at with all this, Fred?
Well, I noticed that Michel Barnier was in town, the well-known cosmetics giant, and I also, for the first time this week, realised that the Brexit inner cabinet is called the Brexit war cabinet, and I don't know that that's a good idea. I don't think that's a good signal to send to the Europeans that we've actually got a war cabinet. As long as you keep the prefix Brexit, I think that's fine. And they got together on Tuesday and they thought, well, let's just tackle one really difficult issue, the potential border between Ireland and Northern Ireland. And they actually agreed on Tuesday that they should go away and think a wee bit more about it.
Desiree, you're presumably in awe of how well everything seems to be going and the way this sort of atmosphere of convivencia has descended over this nation.
Well, I have to be honest, I don't have anything insightful or clever to say about Brexit, which apparently means I could be the next PM. It's kind of amazing. I'm overwhelmed with this feeling of like, is this still happening? Like, we're still doing this? Like, it seems like we should be at the part that you come to in every R&B song where the baritone comes in and he's like, baby, I'm sorry I tried to leave the single market. You can't believe what you read on a bus.
Well, I think there's a lot of negativity on this panel, and I think we need to be more upbeat about it.
I guess down here, there is debate over whether there should be a second referendum. Not such a big debate north of the border. It's coming, but people say, well, you can't have a second referendum because we've already triggered Article 50. I think we should just say, hang on, Europe. We didn't actually trigger it. We were playing with it, and it went off in our hands.
I think we're going to be all right if we can break this country's long-standing dependency on food, drink, and shelter. This is the leaked report into the economic impact of Brexit, suggesting that in 15 years' time, the North East and the West Midlands will have sustained the biggest hits to economic growth. Not East Anglia, luckily, because by that time, it'll be long gone. The figures are based on a 15-year forecast, but can anyone really know what's going to happen in 15 years' time? 15 years ago, I was just a miner's son who wanted to be a ballet dancer, and look at me now. Unfulfilled, unhappy, and ballooning in weight. Meanwhile, billionaire George Soros has given hundreds of thousands of pounds to pro-Remain campaigners, which seems like money well spent. If we know anything about those guys, is they can put together one hell of a leaflet. Also this week, Theresa May attended the Conservatives' black and white ball. Just a guess, but I'm going to assume there was more of one present than the other. 2 points to Mark. Zoe, for whom is sorry the most complicated word?
This is Amber Rudd, our Home Secretary, who this week has said that having the suffragettes posthumously pardoned for the crimes that they committed whilst protesting for women's votes would be complicated. Just glad that wasn't the attitude that the suffragettes themselves actually took when they were demonstrating for women's votes. One of them went, well, you know, Emmeline, it's complicated, isn't it? You know, there's a lot of admin. They'll have to change the forms, you know. I mean, you think surely if you are the Home Secretary, there are certain strings you must be able to pull in a situation like this. That's the point of having a job like that. And let's face it, she wouldn't have that job in the first place if it wasn't for those women who'd gone out and protested for their votes. So... Because it's 100 years since some women got the vote. It was quite a narrow band. It was women over 30 who owned a property or were married to a man who owned a property worth £5 or more. And I read that and I felt really sad. I was like, wow, house prices have progressed so much more than human rights have over the last 100 years. So, yes, thankfully we have come an awful long way in those 100 years, you know. There's still a lot of work to be done. I mean, there's 50% women on the panel here this evening, and you think, is that real equality or just a money-saving device by the BBC? So, I don't know. I think Desiree and I are getting paid in lavender cushions and buttons, so I'm very happy.
Do you think she's unlikely to pardon? When she says she'll take a look, is that her way of saying, look, it's in the in tray, and you know, I'll get round to it when I get round? If it's a sort of after the end of the tax year sort of job. Yeah,
I wonder whether there is a way around this, because some people who are big fans of the suffragettes, like Caroline Lucas, for example, have said that it would be to dilute the radicalism of the suffragettes to pardon them now. So I wonder whether a way around this might be to have a national lottery, and 100 women that win the lottery are allowed to commit an act of arson against anyone they like, and they'll call it the Sylvia Pankhurst fire. And do you think, or is that complicated as well?
Do you know, and I didn't know the difference between a suffragist and a suffragette, because we didn't get taught that at school.
Suffragist sounds like someone who's got a sort of weak hold on the subject.
I think it was the Daily Mail, wasn't it, who called them suffragettes, and so they took that name. But they were great. I mean, like, Sylvia Pankhurst was a dude. I mean, she learnt jiu-jitsu.
Was she?
She learnt that quiet. She learnt jiu-jitsu.
That complicates the whole issue.
I'm trying to make a serious point. No, she learnt. She was sort of all in the East End and everything. She learnt and then trained jiu-jitsu to resist, so that people could resist the arrest and stuff like that.
That is remarkable, isn't it? Because I find it hard to sort of tie my shoelaces when I'm wearing a corset. The idea of grappling science. What was Jeremy Corbyn's view?
Oh, he bloody hates them. Giving it that while I'm trying to run the Labour Party.
He is staunchly anti. You're right, Mark. Publicly, he said a Labour government would apologise to suffragettes and have criminal records overturned. But did anyone know what he revealed that he and Tony Benn once got up to in 1991? I'm not gossiping.
There was a plaque, wasn't there? There was a plaque for Emily Davidson, the woman who threw herself under a horse.
That's right. Yeah. And do you know where they put it?
On a horse?
It was in a broom cupboard, which is where Emily Davison once hid, and it's still there to this day. But they had sort of snuck into Parliament. I don't know why they had to sneak in, given that they were both elected members, but had to just give the whole thing more of a sense of danger that they were after. These are the calls for suffragettes to get posthumous pardons, prompted by the 100th anniversary of the first women gaining the right to vote. The proposals would see all suffragettes convicted of criminal offences being pardoned, and presumably the rerunning of the 1913 Epsom Derby. Home Secretary Amber Rudd said that granting the pardons would be complicated, explaining that many of the crimes committed, such as arson, are still illegal, which shows there is still some way to go until we achieve the arson-rich utopia that we all secretly long for. Nicola Sturgeon is backing the plan and said that at the same time it would put a lot of people's minds at rest if we could dig up Mary Queen of Scots and sew her head back on. 2 points to Zoe. Desiree, who wants us to hear his healthy opinions?
Oh, God, this jackass again. All right. So,
sorry, I have to ask the questions. That's kind of a game, you know.
Just doing your job. Now, obviously, I was referencing Trump, which obviously I should probably be less mad at him because he's the reason I get employed to come and talk about stupid things that he says and does. But he opened up his big fat mouth and his tiny little thumbs and was tweeting about why all of these people in Britain were protesting the NHS because it doesn't work and it's terrible. And meanwhile, they were protesting because they were trying to save the NHS, and he just didn't watch anything besides Fox and Friends, and so he didn't find out what it was actually about. So, he's put out ignorant tweets and everyone replied and he doesn't care. And he decided to respond by saying America should stage a military parade. But he wants to, have all of the US military marching around showing how great we are because he went and saw one of these things in France and was like, we're going to have to outdo France because, they're French and because he's like a grown-up child, who wants to put on a military parade to show his affection and respect for the military, which is like making your wife, on Valentine's Day, make you a steak and do an erotic dance because you would have affection and respect her, It just seems so tacky. At the end of it, it's just we're the #1 military power in the world, which we don't need to show anyone. But I thought about that and I was like, oh yeah, of course it's going to be tacky. This is a guy who has a golden toilet bowl. You know what I mean? It's well, even my poos need to know that they're #1, that's, they're #2, Donald. You don't? Okay, anyway.
All I've written down so far is steak and erotic dance.
Next week, Miles, just start planting seeds.
No, I'm going to start rehearsing. Yeah.
Maybe someone else will take it over and it won't be a really tacky Trumpian one. It'll be a really camp one or something. Possibly, isn't it?
Yeah, opportunity for a bit of high art. It could be, he could get some of the sort of Vegas choreographers onto it, and so it could be a proper show, for heaven's sake.
Yeah.
Because we have, we've got the Trooping of the Colour. That's our own military parade, which I don't know if that counts as a show of force. Sort of horses line dancing.
We can do even better than that, Miles. We've got the Edinburgh Military Tattoo. Wait till you see 8 sailors in 18th century costume get a cannon over a badminton net.
This is Donald Trump's attack on the NHS. He described it as going broke and not working, prompting a furious response on Twitter from Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt. As a result, Jeremy Hunt found his popularity soaring. He's now above Donald Trump, but still just below polio. Trump got his information about the NHS from Fox News, in between a segment about how all French people are gay and how to shoot your way out when you've fallen into your own fridge. I feel I speak for all British citizens when I tell the President to butt out and leave us to expire in a corridor in peace. Also this week, Trump announced that he has ordered the Pentagon to prepare a large-scale military parade, distracting Pentagon officials from their normal business of staring at a red button and wondering if today's the day. 2 points to Desiree. Fred, who doesn't feel Tesco valued?
This is the equality debate. Well, there's no debate really, but it's not just Tesco, all the others, there's various other shops as well, but Tesco might have a bill of up to $4 billion to settle. And I was wondering initially who came up with the figure of $4 billion, and I think it might be the legal team that are representing some of the people that are claiming for that. And if it's going to be backdated, I've got to ask this question about the BBC. Will the BBC be liable as well? Because for 18 years, I was employed by the BBC as a woman. Win-win for me. And my very first Saturday job was stacking shelves for Tesco when I was a schoolgirl. So pensions fully funded, Miles. But I think it's right that we have this debate because women have been underpaid and undervalued, and we would call it a stooshy in Scotland. There's been a real fuss. All hell will break loose when women find out that men have been paying less for shopping.
It's partly to do with people in the warehouses. Generally, they seem to get more money than people working on the shop floor. It's £11 now in the warehouse, maybe £8 average on the shop. I mean, trolleys, they get £1 an hour, pretty much. It's just why a lot of them are depressed and end up throwing themselves in canals. Mark, how angry are you about this?
I'm quite zen, as usual. I'm not a fan of Tesco's. Whatever they do, really, it's so soulless, isn't it? I can't, So
you've been there for the atmosphere and left disappointed?
Yeah.
I read about this, and then it made me understand why when I used to live by a Tesco Metro, and they would never help you do anything there. And there was always this, I remember I went in and I was looking for oregano, and I asked the woman, do you guys sell oregano? And then she's like, what? And I was like, do you sell oregano? And then she's like, do you mean oregano? And I was like, oh, clearly you know what the hell I mean. And I was like, if I just gave you £3 extra, would you suddenly understood my accent? And
I think if someone understands what oregano is, you should give them an extra £3.
How hard is it? How hard is that? Oregano.
I didn't know what
Paper
you meant.
folding.
I think questions on all of our lips, Desiree. Dried or fresh?
It was the Tesco Metro, so I feel like we know the answer to that. Just the biggest case of dried oregano. It sounds like something that comes at the end of disappointing sex, like oregano. Yeah.
What herb would be for successful sex? What would you do? Oh, flat leaf parsley. This is the situation facing Tesco, who could be hit with a £4 billion equal pay claim. It's all because the predominantly female shop floor workers are paid up to £3 an hour less than their predominantly male colleagues in the warehouse. We should point out that Asda and Sainsbury's are battling similar claims, although not Waitrose, where I assume all the staff are independently wealthy and simply work on the checkouts to see how the other half lives. The final nail in the coffin for female Tesco employees was when they realised that in the time they'd been working there, even the plastic bags had been given a raise. Anyway, this means I can now add the words, "Comrades, I feel your pain," to my usual checkout greetings of, "No, I don't have a club card," and, "Yes, that is a lot of Savlon, we're a clumsy family." 2 points to Fred, and at the end of round one, the scores are Mark and Zoe have 5, and Desiree and Fred have 4. We start round 2 with a typo spotted in the Kensington and Chelsea Freegal website.
I have a sofa bed to give away. We no longer need it and would like it gone by the weekend if possible. It comes from a smoke-free home, it's in full working order, and the cover is made of swede.
Thanks to Joe Graham for sending us that. Mark, whose driving is out of this world?
Oh, there's a bloke whose name I can't quite pronounce. Rich man. He sent a car into space. I'm aware that I've answered that as if I'm 5. And he's got a car and it goes round the moon and it plays records and he has got lots of money and I would like to take him to take me to the seaside. It's a rocket. So this car, I don't quite understand what it is, but it's a car that was in a rocket or attached to a rocket or something, and it's gone into space and it got into orbit. I don't think they think it was going to go into orbit, but it managed to do all the, go through all the administrative stuff it has to do to get through the stratosphere and all that. And there it is now, sort of circling through round. Well, I don't think it's in orbit. I think it's going out.
Going to
past Mars,
I think, yeah.
It might hit Mars, apparently.
That's how bad parking has got in London.
Yeah, well, when it gets to Mars, if it does crash there, Then he'll have to ring one of them Ringo numbers, won't he? But yeah, so this and it's got. I think it's got David Bowie playing. It's got. I guess that would Space Oddity. I suppose that would make sense, wouldn't it? So that if it comes across aliens, they'll think, oh, that's that song about us.
Well, I can see it's really caught your imagination. Does anyone know the name of Rich Man?
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
Right.
He's like sort of amiable, sort of Bond villain type thing. I mean, he spends a lot of money doing ridiculous things. He really, really does. I mean, this is the biggest rocket, or the most powerful rocket that's gone up into space, I believe, the Falcon Heavy, which is badly named if you're a billionaire. Wouldn't you have got a better PR company on it than that, wouldn't you? The Falcon Heavy. It's basically just Big Bird, isn't it? That's what he's calling it.
It's an odd phrase, isn't it, Falcon Heavy? It's as if it's got lots of sort of pictures of falcons on it. That is, someone's looked at the design and said, I have to say, Elon, it does look a little bit sort of Falcon Heavy. If you don't mind.
I'd like to ask Corey if you have to be careful when you're reading out the Falcon Heavy rocket. On the news. I was in the pub, and they said, oh, that's the Vulcan Heavy, and the guy, well, I bet it is. I mean,
oh yeah, I wonder if it'll come across another rocket being set up by some Venetian billionaire, and then they'll both have a little bit of a standoff because they'll both be in line with. So one has to back up and pull round to let the other one
sort of gondolier in space.
Yeah.
It's so
no,
weird
that's
that
Venetian.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
I meant. Did I say Venetian? Which is the one in space?
I do beg your pardon, Mark.
But it is like a super redneck space exploration tour to like shoot a car into space. Like that's something you'd see on a YouTube video of someone doing somewhere in Texas. And like also it's a Tesla that he's put out there. So no one's mentioned that he used rocket fuel and rockets to shoot an electric car into space. Like it just seems like an epic waste. It's like, I guess if you're a billionaire tech nerd, then you got to do that regularly.
Well, there's a dummy, isn't there? In the wheel, there's sort of a dummy dressed in a spacesuit.
Yeah.
I mean, we're assuming it's a dummy and not someone.
Theresa May. Woo! Managed to get out of that sticky situation back down on Earth.
Yeah, it didn't need to be in a spacesuit, really, did it? It's just a dummy.
Yeah.
That is true.
Point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you think it is a person?
A bit cooler though than a
could have saved
mannequin
a
dummy.
fortune on the helmet.
It's a very. Because I worry. Is Laika still in space? That dog that he.
God.
I'm very worried about the car colliding with a dog, and then years to come, people will think that the Laika was killed by this, run over by a Tesla or whatever, and history will. I mean, I'd hate this particularly important bit of history to be, rewritten incorrectly in some sort of way.
Did you see when the launch rockets on the side of the main rocket returned to Earth and they landed perfectly back on Earth, brought upright? And I thought, God, I can't even park a car without parking sensors these days. That is an incredible piece of engineering to do. They lost one, but hey ho, it's out there somewhere.
Don't be sad, as
No.
Meatloaf, I'm sure, would have said about it. But he has done something amazing. They're a fraction of the cost of what NASA are creating that can do the same thing.
Well, but that's part of the whole thing is that he can do it cheaper and it's reusable. And, he's launching these sort of commercial flights into space, with Teslas or whatever. So, you can do all the space exploration without the people cost and, with all the burning off of stuff cost. And it just is amazing because it's if it is sort of a commercial endeavor, that means he's probably out there trying to set up Tesla, dealerships to sell douchebag electric cars to really cool rich aliens, want to impress people. I just feel like there are cheaper electric cars. Buy a Leaf. Why get a Tesla unless you have a tiny penis and a need to prove otherwise?
Perhaps his money could be better spent combating climate change on this planet first. Just a thought.
Yeah.
I think he's a laugh.
It's kind of ironic that he's, at the forefront of artificial intelligence in a country, no disrespect, Desiree, where half the population struggle with actual intelligence. He wants to colonise Mars, doesn't he, at a cost of billions. And as Zoe says, just give every American $500 and tell them to vote for Bernie. It'd be cheaper.
It just seems ridiculous in a day and age where I've been delayed on a train because of a slight breeze and some leaves, that people are spending millions to get to Mars. You just think, I'd really just like to get to Clapham Junction on time. That's all I want.
This is Elon Musk, who this week launched his Falcon Heavy rocket into space, sending into orbit a soft-top sports car playing David Bowie in what I'd suggest reeks ever so slightly of a midlife crisis. The Tesla Roadster car is powered by an electric battery and, as a result, is extremely environmentally friendly as long as you discount the massive rocket. The car has "Don't Panic" written on the dashboard, presumably in case any employees had fallen asleep in the passenger seat and wondered where the hell they were. Sure, Musk fires a car into space, he's lauded as a hero. I reverse my wife's into a B&Q, I have to replace the trellis. I suppose our equivalent to Elon Musk is Sir Alan Sugar, who's been lobbing Amstrads off his balcony for years in a bid to just feel something. Two points to Mark. Zoe, who's going ape for vape?
Oh, this is the Public Health England have come out and said that vaping should be allowed in hospitals to help people stop smoking, and have gone so far as to say that the e-cigarette should be available on prescription, which it seems a little odd. Because I like a glass of champagne every now and again, and too much of that is bad for me. So perhaps I could get a cheaper Prosecco on prescription. Which would be pleasurable. But they've done several research projects on it, and it's been declared as being far safer than actually smoking. But it does make you look like a massive dick. So there is that downside. Because the vaping devices have got bigger and bigger and bigger. I saw a guy on one the other day. I thought he was playing the French horn until... So they're saying that the vaping itself isn't bad for you. Some of the flavours are quite bad for you, apparently.
Cinnamon is one of them.
Cinnamon is one of them. Cinnamon, vanilla and butter-flavoured vape juices are the worst for you because they contain the most toxins. You go, vanilla, cinnamon and butter. That's a biscuit.
Well, butter, that would be like if you're like, just trying to wean myself off toast.
Yeah.
So, I've got some butter-flavoured e-liquid,
It is quite interesting, the flavours that people have gone for, as having, maybe smoked Marlboro Red all of their life. They probably hated it, and they're like, oh, yeah, well, now I'm smoking cinnamon bum-bum and candy floss balls. You're like, oh, God, I'm pretty sure the Marlboro man would have turned at his grave if he'd known that's the way.
Yeah, I've been smoking sort of 40 Marlboro Red a day, but it turned out really what I've been after all these years is blueberry.
Can't they have, like, cheese and onion and that sort of thing?
I think they should test the resolve of the people that want to give up smoking. If they're going to get a vape machine from the NHS, they should make the vape machine the shape of a penis.
That's amazing because I do vape and I would just vape more if that were the case, to be honest. I'd be like, that's right, fellas, that's right.
Insulin inhalers, they should be the same as well, shouldn't they? They should be penis-shaped.
Do you think that's...
Everything you get that you take
everything
orally...
should be penis-shaped, shouldn't it?
If we're going to be pardoning suffragettes and giving Tesco's women more money on the one hand, on the other hand, make everything penis-shaped. It seems a fair deal.
The only thing I've got that isn't penis-shaped is my penis.
This is the recommendation from Public Health England that e-cigarettes should be available by prescription. Vaping has thus far helped millions of people to quit smoking, opening their horizons and inducing them to a whole new set of possible things to die from. Public Health England also proposed that hospitals should provide vaping lounges. Presumably some wards will now be so full of e-cigarette smoke it'll resemble a scene from a very bleak episode of Stars in Their Eyes. Tonight, Matthew, I'm having a length of my bowel removed. 2 points to Zoe. Desiree, have a listen to this.
Sure know how to throw a party, Miles.
Does that music mean anything to you?
No. I mean, does that music mean anything to anyone?
It's a vital part of our culture.
Okay. So...
There is a question that follows that, but I have to ask, just on the basis of the incredibly blank look on your face.
Yeah, no,
while the rest of us were genuinely getting down.
What is that song? Do you guys sing it, like, at Christmas? What is that?
It's more of an Easter thing. I think that's...
Half term.
That is a song. Anyone know what that song's actually called? It's called Pop Looks Bark by Sam Fontaine. It was the theme to Ski Sunday. So it was very, very, very important part of all childhoods
Gotcha.
in Britain. Anyway, it's barely relevant. Desiree, who's flying south for the winter?
Yes, this is, all of the Olympians going to the Winter Olympics in South Korea. There's been this big kerfuffle about the opening ceremony because Vice President Pence is going, and it turns out that North Korea decided they were going to show up to the games. And so they're sending Kim Jong-un's sister, Kim Yo-jong, to be the representative. And now there's this big, terrible wedding seating arrangement plan to figure out where everyone is supposed to go. You've got the bride and the groom, and then you've got the vice president who refers to his wife as mother, and then you've got the best man, which I think in this case is economic sanctions.
Are you going to be watching a lot of it, Mark?
Oh, well, I'm bound to, yeah. I can't help it with the sport. Although, really, even tests me, really, because really the Winter Olympics ought to be renamed 115 different ways of sliding, I think. Now for the start of the Down the Hill on a Wardrobe event.
I love it.
I do love it.
I
do. I love the... there's a woman who's a daughter of someone I went to school with, Lizzie Arnold, who won a gold medal last time for...
Is she on the tea tray?
Yeah, sure. I think she was in a sleeping bag or something.
I think she's going to be carrying the flag, is she not?
Yes, she is. She is.
Zoe and I are both skiers. Corey's a skier as well. Desiree, do you ski? Miles?
Dear God, no. The last thing I need to do is pick up momentum going down ice.
I just don't know how the skeleton and the luge, one is feet first, one is head first, and I don't know how you can be really rubbish at one and brilliant at the other. It's just it's just
whether
momentum.
You've got a heavy head or heavy feet, I guess.
But the Scots are pretty well represented. I think we might get a gold in curling, women's curling, for the second time. So fingers crossed for that.
The curling's brilliant. I've watched curling all day.
Yeah. It goes on all day.
There's controversy in the world of curling because they've changed the technology of the brushes and it actually melts the ice quicker. And that's, could completely ruin curling depending on whether you've got one of these brushes.
The big story that caught my eye was the Norwegian eggs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they ordered 15,000 eggs instead of 1,500, but they've been able to give 13,500 of them back and kept 150,000 of the 1.5 million or something like that. If I've got the maths wrong, I apologise.
No, spot on. Yes, they took a photograph on Twitter, didn't they? They'd ordered...
Yeah.
Yes,
they could have invented a new event called Going Down the Hill on a Box of Eggs.
And amount of eggs in Lycra, you'll pick up some thrust, I'd imagine. Yeah, it's a lot of protein.
Also, there has been a little bit of illness. Is anyone aware of this little tummy bug going around?
We've had an outbreak of the norovirus, which I'd imagine isn't good in a very white background.
They have a lot of norovirus. That's why they have to, they zip everything right up to the neck, I think.
It'll be more brownhill than downhill, let's put it that way.
What I don't follow, right, so ice dancing, I know it's very difficult, very athletic, and they're all very good and all that, but that's not a sport, is it? It's just a thing you do, and then someone's judging it. You could say anything's a sport if you do that, couldn't you? You could have painting and decorating as an Olympics. Always got all the corners, 5.9.
No, but you can succeed or fail at it or whatever. Surely you can see how that, it's...
Yeah, but if you could have anything, you could say playing the xylophone is a sport. That upsets
Yeah, it's not
me.
a winter sport, though, is it?
If it's downhill xylophone.
Oh, yeah.
I think they've sent Pence because Trump's... would have to sit in front of somebody at the opening and they'd just be lifting that flap of hair.
Yeah.
You seen that? I've been watching that all week. I'm sorry I've not been up to speed in the news. I've just been watching the flap of Donald Trump's head opening up and you can see his skull.
Yes. His bald spot is at the back, isn't it?
It goes all the way from the top of his head to his arse.
Crikey. How big a flap opened up? That sounds extraordinary.
Have you seen it? I mean, it is extraordinary.
No, it's a salutary lesson to us all, I think. Yeah, but no one knows that. That's not an otherwise existing baldness pattern, is it? To go bald all the way to the neck.
No, it's not. Something's occurred.
Well, it's like a hair cape, isn't it? It's like a cape. Is it his hair at the front?
I think so.
That's weird.
Tell you something, that man never goes swimming.
No.
I like him.
This is of interest to a couple of us on the panel.
Yeah.
I'm balding, you may have noticed, upstairs.
But just be bald. Bald men are hot. Like, you're bald because you have lots of testosterone. Just be bald and proud. Don't be like, I'm wearing a shame flap of hair and like trying to pick up women a third my age. Like,
That's
this
right.
is creepy.
Fred, put your shame flap away. These are the latest... These are the latest going on at the Winter Olympics, where there were concerns over a potential diplomatic incident involving the seating plan for the opening ceremony, with US Vice President Mike Pence seated just metres away from Kim Jong-un's sister. Seating plans are always a nightmare. For example, at my wedding, we had no idea where to put Kim Jong-un's sister. In the end, we put her next to Auntie Margaret, similar views on China, and loves a parade. The Winter Olympics will be an eye-opening experience for Kim Jong-un's sister, who up to now thought Skeleton Bob was simply the name of a dissident. Elsewhere, there's been an outbreak of norovirus amongst the Winter Olympic security guards, although maybe that isn't a problem. If there's one person you're not going to mess with, it's someone who's vomiting at you uncontrollably. Never mind, the Winter Olympics isn't really sport, is it? The luge is basically a power nap, and curling is essentially lawn bowls mixed with obsessive-compulsive cleaning. 2 points to Desiree. Before we reveal the final scores, has anybody got a cutting they'd like to share? Mark.
This is from Martin Berry, and this is like Wikipedia. You'll recognise the sort of the way it's written from if you've ever looked at these things. List of serial killers in the United States. This list is incomplete. You can help by expanding it.
Zoe.
I've got this from the Phoenixville Police Department Weekly Update, seen by Kevin Duffy from Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, USA. And it says, on the 18th of November 2017 at 6:35 p.m, police responded to the report of a couple arguing inside a residence in the 500 block of Mason Street. Officers spoke to the couple and they explained that they weren't arguing, they were just trying to assemble a desk from IKEA.
Desiree.
Yes, well, I have this announcement of funeral details sent in by Edward Phillips. A private cremation will be followed by a celebration of his life at the Royal British Legion at 1:30 p.m. All friends are most welcome. Dress optional.
Thank you. And now let's take a look at the final score. Desiree and Fred have 8, but this week's winners are Mark and Zoe with 9. Before we leave you, here is an extract from the St Helens Star, sent in by Kathy Noel-Smith.
The swimming pool at Queen's Park Health and Fitness Centre will reopen to the public after a lengthy closure for repairs, St Helens Council has confirmed. The 25-metre 5-lane pool has been closed since the beginning of October due to tiles at the bottom of the pool being damaged by moisture.
And with that, goodbye.
Taking part in the news quiz were Mark Steele, Zoe Lyons, Desiree Birch and Fred McCauley. In the chair was Miles Jupp and the news was read by me, Corey Caulfield. The chair's script was written by James Kettle, Robin Morgan and Benjamin Partridge, with additional material by Laura Major and Ian Smith. The producer was Richard Morris and it was a BBC Studios production.
We present the news quiz with your host, Miles Jupp.
Hello, and welcome to the news quiz. We start with a cutting about home decorating from The Independent, read by Kathy Clugston.
Graphic designer Ben went for bright colours in the bathroom and painted his stool to match.
What a graphic designer. Our thanks to Jeff Peters for sending that in. Now let's meet the teams. Will you welcome first, on my right, Neil Delamere and Hugo Rifkind. And opposite them, on my left, Jen Brister and Nish Kumar. Welcome all. How are you doing, Neil? How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
Yeah, fine.
Yes,
Fine.
I was over visiting my parents, so I flew over this morning from Europe, and just wanted to see how that would go down before I did the rest of the jokes. Not as well as I expected.
Welcome to our country.
Thank you.
How are you, Hugo?
I'm good. I was quoted this week in the Bundestag.
Ooh, yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Snap.
I made a joke on Twitter before Christmas about Brexit being like a cheese submarine, and a German MP delivered this in the Bundestag to zero laughter.
That's excellent. Well, congratulations.
Well, thank
I'm
you.
glad that your fame is spreading. Kathy, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. I've had a cracking day in Cannes today. It's
Really?
a continuity, yeah. I don't know if any of you were listening earlier, but I managed to announce to the listening public that the film programme would be discussing a film that had been nominated for 6 Oscars.
It's good because when the Oscars are on, people forget about the Oscars.
They do forget about
How are you, Jen?
I'm very well indeed. I've just been doing what a lot of us have been doing in the face of a no-deal Brexit, just stockpiling insulin and building a panic room. So, not even diabetic, but I thought it seemed like the right thing to do.
Nish,
Mr. Jupp.
Are you coping?
Yeah, I'm coping. I was in Belfast this week. I thought I'll tailor my whip-smart brand of political humour to some of the local situations. And I was really laying into the DUP and Arlene Foster. And they all went a bit quiet, and I was a bit surprised. I sort of thought the people I'd be performing to might be more receptive to that sort of material. And then afterwards, my support act and friend Catherine Bohart informed me that I had been saying Arlene Phillips the entire time.
I very much feel your
In
pain.
fairness, the marches would be much better.
Right. Neil, who's gone from A to B?
Oh, I think I know who this is. This is Theresa May's withdrawal deal. She was hammered last week in the House of Commons. So she was meant to tell us what the plan B was this week. And she knew she had to pivot, she had to be flexible, she had to change direction. So what she did was confound expectations by pivoting to the exact same position that she was already in. Like, nobody saw that coming. Much like Prince Philip, when he sees another car, she ploughed on in the direction she was already going. Surely when the approach doesn't work, you have to change the approach, is my argument. She must be terrible at battleships, I've always thought. So B1, no Prime Minister, that's a miss. Do you want another guess? I do. B1. No, that's still wrong. Well, I've listened to everybody. I've taken on board everybody's considerations. I'd like one more guess. Yes, Prime Minister. B1, there's something wrong with you, isn't there? So, it's just really, really odd. We're getting to this position where she has ruled out an Article 50 extension. She has said there isn't going to be a second referendum. She has refused to rule out no deal. Meanwhile, we have civil servants. They're freaking out about the economic hit. If there is no deal, they're just running around Whitehall. Well, I've run the numbers, Barbara, and we're going to have to sell David Attenborough on the Antiques Roadshow. It's just, you know what I hope happens? This is just a personal point of view. I would like a really, really, really soft Brexit. So Ireland isn't hammered, the economy isn't hammered, and the economy of the UK isn't hammered. And everything that we've been worried about for 2.5 years, that kind of turns into like that. The same feeling of, you know, when you're driving down the motorway and your headlamps catch the reflective strips in the back of a police car, and you go, penalty points, what? Highway maintenance vehicle. That's what I hope happens.
Hugo, have you been following with interest?
No. I've been following, but not with interest. It's just everyone, you've reached the stage of sort of peak rubbish, with everyone talking peak rubbish. You've got every sort of side. You've got Labour saying that they're going to offer her no deal until she says she doesn't want no deal, which I just turn around in my head again and again and again. They're saying, will you offer us a deal? No, we're not going to offer you a deal until you say you definitely do want a deal and not a deal. And I can't get anywhere with that. You've got Labour saying their position is that they want a customs union, but not the customs union. They kind of want what we've taken to calling at work the I can't believe it's not a customs union, which it is a customs union. And then you had Jacob Rees-Mogg saying that if Parliament votes in order that there can't be no deal, he thinks we should activate the Queen. Which is just a completely chilling sentence, to activate the Queen.
I had no idea that she'd been lying dormant.
think it's like the
what she can achieve on standby mode. Nish.
Look, it's with the inertia over the deal, the lack of a second referendum, it does feel like we're lurching towards a no deal, which is a very worrying scenario. And I'm sort of sick of people saying to me that we survived the Second World War. Because first of all, you're like, not dying is the bare minimum. Yeah. We couldn't cope with the Luftwaffe given that we can't handle drones flying over Gatwick. And it's very important to remember that during the Second World War, Britain had an empire upon which it could draw for natural resources. What I'm saying is, at this point, Gibraltar is going to have to start pulling its weight.
Jen.
Well, I just want to know what Theresa May's plan B is. Because plan A is, imagine your name's Theresa in Brussels for a bit of no-strings Brexit negotiations, but it's all fine because you're on the pill. So the next morning, you just go to breakfast with your mates, don't you? You don't think about it. Plan B, you're still Theresa. You're still in Brussels having a bit of no-strings Brexit negotiations, but you're not on contraception. So the next morning, you're not out having breakfast with your mates, are you? No, you're at the chemist, regretting the terrible decisions you've made and begging for the morning after pill. That's your plan B right there. And let's be honest, the DUP won't be paying for that.
What did she think that a fresh referendum on Brexit would... what did she think that the impact of that would be?
She thought that there would be sort of civil unrest, to which he would probably say, have you watched the news?
Yes.
People who say a second referendum would be divisive. It's like the country is literally split in two. That is literally what divisive means.
I do feel sorry for her, by the way. I do feel sorry for the reason I feel sorry for any UK Prime Minister is because when they have a big announcement to make, in the US President walks into the press room and talks to all the journalists assembled inside, in a room, indoors. She has to walk out and stand on the street in the middle of the road. You've turned a diabetic woman into the lollipop lady. And she has to make that announcement in the cold. Yeah, you see.
Sorry, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Every time I feel any kind of merest hint of sympathy for Theresa May, I remember Windrush and I go, no, you know what? The only good thing about Brexit is she's having a terrible time.
Balance, always. Balance. Where do you think Corbyn's been on all this? Has he had a helpful week?
Well, you know, they've done absolutely nothing, which is...
Yeah, but in a good way or a bad way? Are they perhaps taking the opportunity to regroup, do you think?
No, absolutely nothing is good sometimes. Like, if, for example, a dinosaur sees you, you don't move at all because their vision is based on movement, so...
Yeah,
I mean, doing absolutely nothing is not necessarily always the bad.
Yes, is it?
I don't know.
I mean, is that absolutely an equivalence?
Well, when I applied for my job as policy advisor to Jeremy Corbyn, he seemed to think so.
The important thing, Corbyn's position is that nothing is off the table.
But nothing's on the table.
Yeah.
There is no table.
There is no table.
That's the problem.
But if there is no table, then nothing can be off the table.
Theresa May has said she will not extend the table as well. Ireland wants to make sure that we can get from one side of the table to the other side of the table. But you've put up a border. You call it a doily, we call it a border.
It's down the middle. It's like a table tennis table.
It pretty much.
Yeah.
I think we've solved Brexit.
There we go.
This is the news that Prime Minister Theresa May has unveiled her Brexit deal Plan B, with all the confidence of a First World War general insisting that walking towards the machine guns is still the best ticket in town. Plan B looks suspiciously like Plan A. It's a bit like when you send your food back in a restaurant. Theresa May has done the equivalent of taking it back to the kitchen where the chef has rubbed it on his arse and put it in the microwave for 30 seconds before replating. Jeremy Corbyn said that it's starting to feel like Groundhog Day, by which I assume he specifically means the bit where Bill Murray has had enough and drives his car into a quarry. 2 points to Neil. Hugo, who delivered a global warning?
Okay, so this was in Davos. Davos, the small Swiss town where the rulers of the world go.
How Swiss?
Is it Swiss?
Swiss.
Is it? I was worried it might be a bit Austrian Swiss.
One of the audience will know.
Yeah, Swiss, yeah.
Let's go with Swiss.
Let's super Swiss.
If you could cut the bit where I said I wasn't sure it was Swiss, that would be super for my job. Thank you. Davos.
Do you listen to News Quiz Extra?
Oh, never.
Right,
No, of course I do.
yeah,
Every
we'll
time,
have it,
yeah. Good. Davos in Switzerland. All the world leaders are in Davos.
Famously in Switzerland,
Which is
of course,
famously in
isn't it?
Switzerland.
I met this bloke once. He didn't have one of those jobs where you'd expect him to be knowledgeable. He did not know it was in Switzerland, and I was ashamed. I imagine he was. But yeah, it's famously, of course, it's in Switzerland, isn't it, Hugo?
I've been to Davos. Of course it's in Switzerland. In Switzerland, there's this place called Davos.
Uh-huh.
And all the world leaders...
I didn't know that.
This is going to go well in the German parliament where they do this joke.
In Davos, in Switzerland, various rulers of the world all meeting there. Trump wasn't there because he couldn't go because the government shut down. Theresa May wasn't there because nobody invited her because everybody hates her now. And among the many things they were talking about was climate change. One of the main things they were talking about. And Prince William interviewed David Attenborough about climate change. He did the interview on stage like he was a journalist. Bit dull, not so easy, William. And the whole thing, it's kind of like satire, right? The fact that they're talking about climate change in Davos, it's like satire. Because for one thing, everybody's come by private jet. There were something like 1,500 private jets arrived in the space of 2 days, which when you're talking about global warming isn't great. And for another, who had the bright idea of going, I know, we'll get all the leaders of the world to come together and talk about global warming in a place where it's minus 15 degrees and snowing. Stupid. But that's what they've been doing.
I just don't think I need Prince William and David Attenborough to fly to Davos in a private jet to tell me there's global warming, because I was in Edinburgh last year and I got a tan, so... I think the only person that really needs to be told about climate change is Trump, and he tweeted, didn't he, that he thought, because it was so cold, he was like saying, whatever happened to global warming? And what I enjoyed most about that particular tweet was that there was a response from an 18-year-old student from Assam. I just want to read this out to you because I absolutely loved it, who replied to the President of the United States directly saying, I am 54 years younger than you. I just finished high school with average marks. But even I can tell you that weather is not climate. If you want help understanding that, I can lend you my encyclopedia from when I was in second grade. It has pictures and everything. Your bell end. To be fair, I added that bell end bit, but her point still stands.
The weirdest thing I read about the kind of climate change element of Davos is that they've offered up an event sort of outside the main talks where you can do a virtual reality workshop designed to show you what it would be like to live life as a tree.
What?
Genuinely.
How does that work?
They obviously decided that the wealthiest people in the world lack basic empathy, and the way to solve global warming is by putting them in virtual reality headsets, and users see their arms transformed into branches and their body become the trunk of the tree. And I just think at this point, with the seriousness of climate change, you've got to go the whole hog and really impersonate the experience of a tree and have the person in the headset as a tree, and then after about sort of 25 minutes have Jair Bolsonaro come in and hack their legs off with an axe.
I think it could have been quite a sort of moving, transformative experience for some people that had never really, you know, someone sort of Liam Fox, who we've got over there, he might have put the thing on and just had a real sort of awakening. You know, God, I would never realise I'd have had so many leaves. This is absolutely...
He would just be going, leaves mean leaves. Leaves means leaves. I did like the way some people were having a go at Prince William, though, because he interviewed David Attenborough, but he was quite quiet. He didn't grill David Attenborough. You were sitting opposite an environmental icon, and he's going on about humans wasting resources. If you'd grown up in a house that had 775 rooms, what else are you going to say? You know, you're dead right, we shouldn't waste stuff, you know. No, you're dead right. This swan is free range in my sandwich. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's right about humans wasting. We waste power, we waste water. I think we're the only people in the world who drink the 3 litres of water at the airport when you can't get the bottle through the security system. I think everybody else throws out the bottle. I was there today, and there was a guy who goes, you can't drink that, it's too big. And he went, well, we'll see about that. I don't even want this. Well, don't drink it, Michael. I'm not giving that fella the satisfaction. Which is fine for water, but my friend used up all his deodorant at the checkpoint one day. He had a Lynx Africa the size of a Shetland pony, right? And the guy said, you can't use that. He goes, well, we'll see about that. And he just like, he shouldn't have been let on the plane. He was technically flammable at that point. Right? He didn't sweat for about 2.5 weeks, and 2 sniffer dogs died of solvent abuse.
He must have been irresistible. This is the World Economic Forum in Davos, where David Attenborough made a speech and was interviewed by Prince William about climate change. Some people were critical of the fact that threats to the natural world were under discussion at Davos, since 1,500 private jets were required to facilitate the event. Just wait until they find out about the 4,000 chinchillas that had to be shoveled into the furnace to keep the central heating going. They are more expensive than coal, but for some reason let off a wonderful pine aroma when they pop. Attenborough said that the Garden of Eden is no more, and yet here I am still proudly wearing just a fig leaf. Keeping the dream alive, people, keeping the dream alive. We are not ashamed, for we do not know. I have to use my degree once every 4 years. Among British attendees are Tony Blair, Liam Fox and George Osborne. I know what you're thinking, and it's a tough one, but I would say snog Tony, marry George, and... Sorry, Foxy, you're off the cliff. 2 points to Hugo. Jen, have a listen to this. Jen, who's cleaning up and clearing off?
This is about James Dyson moving part of his company from the UK to Singapore, which he has said unequivocally has nothing to do with Britain leaving the EU, which, by the way, he was a vocal proponent of. It's actually a complete coincidence, to make that very clear. Yes, so he's off and away.
You're very pro-James Dyson, famously, aren't you, Nish?
I'm pro-James Dyson. I'm pro-Brexit. Please don't deport me. I love white people. Big fan. Oh, yeah. Vincent van Gogh.
The other one. Yeah.
Frasier. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Yes, mate. 3 of my favourite whites. Anyway.
I really hope someone turns on Radio 4 just for that sentence.
Look, James Dyson can, quite frankly, shove it. Like, I mean, it is incredible. He was
and that's you speaking as a fan, of course.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of his hand dryers. Like, they're great. But obviously, since his, frankly, unpatriotic defection, I'm now going to have to engage in a one-man protest by defecating in every Dyson Airblade I see. I would encourage all patriots to do the same.
He's taking us all out. He's just leaving us with a Dyson dustpan and brush. He's bagging up, mate.
My friend always calls it a Dyson Hoover, by the way, which really annoys me. You can't call it a Dyson Hoover. That's 2 brand... Kevin, if you're listening, that's 2 brand names together. It's like, oh, well, if you don't know the answer, why don't you Yahoo Google it? You can't do that. I'm off to buy a Greg's Big Mac. Where's my Nokia iPhone? You cannot do that. Do you know Jacob Rees-Mogg has a Henry the Hoover? Did you know that?
No,
genuinely, and you can tell it's his, because you know there's a little face on it, and the eye has a monocle.
I'd be very surprised if he's seen any cleaning equipment close up in a year.
He has a man called Henry who...
Henry! Hoover! Hugo.
It might be true. Dyson is one of these people who... The reason why he wanted Brexit was so that Britain was more like Singapore. So if he then moved to actual Singapore, it would make a degree of sense. But you sort of put it in context with everything else. You know, businesses keep leaving. Brexit-supporting people keep doing stuff like this. Nigel Lawson has got residency in France. Nigel Farage getting German passports for his kids. Jacob Rees-Mogg's fund leaving the UK. Boris leaving his wife. Actually, that's probably not to do with Brexit.
It's so true. Everyone's desperate to get rid of their British passport, which I think is, like everyone... I wish I could get a Spanish passport. I'm not allowed one.
What, have you got any connection with Spain?
I'm half Spanish, Miles. And my mother's Spanish.
Have you ever been to Dublin? Because you could actually play soccer for us if you have.
Anyone else got an Irish passport? Nish?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah,
the old Kumars. Oh.
Yeah.
My grandfather was actually a pint of Guinness.
Bit racist.
How lovely. This is vocal Brexiteer James Dyson, who's moving Dyson's headquarters from the UK to Singapore. Critics say Dyson have washed their hands of the current UK economic situation and then dried them incredibly loudly. Hopefully this isn't the beginning of other Brexit-supporting businesses leaving Britain. If Wetherspoons go, we'll have lost one of the only remaining places in Britain where you can have a fight and a reasonably priced lasagna in the same evening. 2 points to Jen. Nish, who got the bug for crushing the resistance?
It's superbugs becoming resistant to antibiotics. The health secretary has said that drug-resistant superbugs are now as big a threat as climate change. So, listen, if you're feeling a bit down about Brexit, just think to yourself, it doesn't matter because we'll all be dead when we're washed away in a cloud of acid rain and a hail of drug-resistant viruses. Happy days! Happy days! It's good stuff. Also, in vaguely related news, people who have fecal matter with good bugs in them can donate the faeces.
To what?
They can be transplanted into people's bowels who have unhealthy stools.
But how do you know? How would you know if your stools have good bacteria?
I'm pretty sure doctors involved. I'm pretty sure.
It's a very real thing, though. You can go and you can, I suppose, be examined. They say they don't know why it is, what it is that happens to make somebody have super poo, but if they have super poo, then they get it. What they do, there's a process, there's a fecal transplant, which involves taking faeces with the right mix of bacteria in it, administering it to the gut of the patient through a tube in their nose or via an enema. And on that note, in fact, of course, we're not that far away from the 14th of February, if any of you don't have... Valentine's Day's plans. I want to do something I've not done before, darling. Right.
Nice. Can we talk about something else?
Please.
All right.
Someone's got to come out in favour of Brexit and anti-poo, or this programme cannot be broadcast.
We do need to you do need to monitor your digestive health, and fellas are particularly are really bad at it. I think a friend of mine, I shouldn't tell you this from here. It's the same guy who calls Dyson Hoovers. He went out with a girl and he didn't treat her very well, and she was a nurse. Then they broke up, and then 6 months later he had to get a colonoscopy, and she was the nurse in the colonoscopy. She wasn't meant to be there. It wasn't her shift. She was a vet nurse.
It wasn't her job.
Yeah, he was just about to go sleep under the anaesthetic, and he looked up and his ex-girlfriend was standing there. She didn't even have like a microscopic camera. She had a Fujifilm on a stick. But they're married 15 years now.
This is Health Secretary Matt Hancock, who's unveiled a new plan to tackle antibiotic resistance. It seems we've been handing out antibiotics far too freely, as the recent Amoxicillin Wednesdays promotion at my local pharmacy attests. I only went in for some athlete's foot powder, and I came out with enough gear to poison the water supply of a modest market town. Look out, Swapham, things are going to get trippy. Also this week we learnt that in the world of fecal... I'm afraid his fecal transplant didn't take. Also this week that we learnt... I can do this, but you have to believe in me. Also this week, we learnt that in the world of fecal transplants, some people are considered super donors. It's also heartening to know that the jiffy bag of faeces I got through my door this week might well have been gifted in the greatest spirit of kindness. 2 points to Nish. And at the end of round one, the scores are Neil and Hugo have 4, and so too to Jen and Nish. We start round 2 with a cutting from a Somerset parish newsletter.
Somerset has been gripped by scandal after a brothel opened in the sedate village of Marston Magna. Residents have contacted the police, who have since visited several times.
Thanks to Brian O'Neill for sending us that. Neil, who's got beef?
Oh, the beef eaters. The beef eaters are going on strike, and they're part of a group of workers whose pension arrangements are going to be changed away from a defined benefit pension. And they said that the offer that they got from the historic royal palaces isn't enough. So, generally speaking, I have a bit of nervousness, obviously, about the Tower of London, or the ceremonial Catholic abattoir, as I like to call it. But I'm with the beefeaters on this one for a couple of reasons. One, I don't think it's very wise to underpay the pensions of people who are looking after the crown jewels. I think that's a little bit tempting for the lads, to be honest with you. So, if you're not going to pay me enough, I'm going to leave right now. What's that rattling in your pocket? That is none of your business. Show me your trousers. You have the crown jewels in your underpants. Excuse me, that is a vajazzle. That's the first reason. The second reason is the story reminded me to get a pension. I don't have a pension. And my wife, in our family, my wife is the person who has the pension and all the insurances because she is a very responsible human being. So she has all the insurances, even the ones you don't need. And I have no insurances because I'm married above myself. So I look at her and think things will always work out. And she looks at me and goes, shit can go wrong at any moment. Give me all the insurances, please. And I love a good old tourist building because the funniest thing I've ever seen on holidays was in the Colosseum in Rome. And there was a family there with two teenage boys and they started to have an argument. And after about 10 minutes, the dad lost his mind and looked at the young lads and went, will you stop? This is the Colosseum. It is no place for fighting.
Hugo, are you on the side of the beefeaters?
Yeah, I am. Historically, they're doing quite well at the moment because they did used to get paid in beef. Hence the name.
But people don't know actually why they're called beefeaters, apparently. So some people think it's they got more beef in their rations, and some people think it's a derivation of a French word.
Oh, really?
Yeah. People are so stupid. They're named after the gin.
I just think their costume's weird, isn't it? And I think it's quite hard to have any sort of gravitas or authority in a highly charged salary negotiation when you're wearing knickerbockers, knee-high socks and carrying a pike. I mean, I'd be like, mate.
So you've got the yeoman of the guards, right? The yeoman warders of the lads in the Tower of London, the yeoman of the guards of the ceremonial bodyguard of the Queen. So there's any Americans here listening going, oh, we've got the Secret Service and they've got guns and all the rest. Yeah, but the last UK monarch was killed 450 years ago. You've had 5 American presidents shot since then. So maybe the Secret Service needs to put down the weapons and pick up a pointy stick?
This is the Tower of London, where beefeaters have taken part in industrial action about a change in their pension scheme. Beefeaters went on strike on Monday, an unfortunate misunderstanding of the terms and conditions of veganuary. The warder's employer, Historic Royal Palaces, have insisted that the new pension is simply an attempt to modernise. But you can see why it's hard to explain to someone who's previously been paid in haunches of venison and flagons of mead that they'll now be enrolled into a contributions-based variable annuity scheme. This is the second strike in as many months from the yeoman warders, who before last December had not taken industrial action since 1964, when the Wilson administration removed their rights to behead tourists. 2 points to Neil. Jen, have a little song. Deeply moved. Jen, who has low selfie-esteem?
Okay, so this is a story about the new, I believe, modern phenomena about selfie dysmorphia, which is basically brought on by our current obsession with taking selfies with our smartphones and putting various different filters on them to make ourselves look extra gorgeous. If you go on my Instagram account and have a look at my selfies, I have used a few filters, so I do, in some of the photos, look a little bit like a 15-year-old Korean boy, but... So you can go too far, is the point. And I think it's affecting a lot of young people's self-esteem, and they believe or they think that this idea about having filters on your photos is also connected to young people then wanting to go away and have Botox and fillers so that they can look exactly like they do in these photos, which is... I mean, this is a new thing. I think selfies, especially for our generation, we don't quite get it, do we? Because we didn't have selfies, did we, back in the day? I think for a lot of millennials, they don't understand why we didn't have selfies, and it's very simple. How many photos would you say it takes to get a half-decent selfie? 685. Back in the 90s, that would have cost you $2,500. Do you know how many trips to Boots that would have been? None of us had the time. And it's such a weird thing, because when I was growing up, we didn't have... Of course, you can nothing like that existed. There was no Botox, there was no fillers. You know, the kind of cosmetics we were buying were like Clearasil, wasn't it? And Impulse. So it is worrying that we've got young girls going out and wanting to have basically plastic surgery to change the way they look. I mean, why would you want to look like a dog that's just swallowed a bee? Have you seen those... Have you seen that? Have you seen it? Go on Google and put dogs that have chewed a bee. And look at their faces. because that is exactly what Khloe Kardashian looks like.
Nish, of course, you're absolutely selfie daft.
Yeah.
What is it that motivates you?
Well, I just like
Your
to...
chiselled look.
Yeah, this is radio. You can hear my cheekbones. Also, I don't know what Jen's talking about. We don't know what it's like to be in that. I'm right in the middle of the selfie generation, Grandma. I love to Snapchat on my...
You don't know what you're talking about.
I like to Snapchat Khloe Kardashian.
No such person.
Oh.
Even I know that.
Which one's the Pepsi lady?
Who's the Pepsi lady?
One of the Kardashians handed out. Anyway, I mean one of
Kendall
the...
Jenner. 41, and I know the words Kendall Jenner.
Safe,
You don't know
brother.
where Davos is, but you know Kendall Jenner.
Oh, bide your time.
I do feel very lucky to have completely missed this generation.
Oh,
because,
me too.
Yeah,
God.
but I feel like we've sort of been able to...
Dodge all that. I mean, when I was young, I just was like overweight, had a unibrow, I had a beard of zits. I mean, nothing's changed too much since then, but...
Be careful who you're sitting next to when you talk about negative traits being a beard and a unibrow. Tread very carefully, Brister.
You know what they say what you see, and then you think, no, go back.
Also, I mean, in absolute fairness, I've become accustomed to my flaws, and I've just learned to deal with them. My flaws, which include a nose, which a friend of mine, who, on discovering that I'd never done cocaine, described as a tremendous waste.
Hugo, have you got chronic body dysmorphia?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm not part of the selfie generation. I don't do selfies, but I do, as a columnist, have a byline photo. And there's a long tradition with byline photos that basically journalists all have byline photos where they look about 20 years younger than they actually are. But I, for some reason, have always had byline photos where I look about 15 years older than I actually am. I've always had the byline photo of a 60-year-old man. I don't know why. I sort of always will. And it's sort of better that way around, because sometimes you do meet journalists who you've seen their byline photo and you're like, my God, you're your own mother, you know, all the time. But yeah, and I'm the opposite, which is fortunate, I think.
I guess you're just one of the lucky ones.
I guess so.
Now, Neil, have you had any cosmetic procedures in search of your dream self?
Yes, I used to be Morgan Freeman. I absolutely, completely agree with everything that Jen said, but I do really enjoy plastic surgery programs where they've gone too far. I do love... not when the normal punters come in and they've got one small thing wrong with them. I like when the people walk in and you can comment, well, I'm not a doctor, but I don't think his nipples should be on his shoulders. Do you know those? There was a woman who walked in this show that I watch, and she goes, I want all my fingers sewn together so I look like a Barbie doll.
Who did that operation?
Yeah, no, they didn't. They gave her mittens.
This is the rise in so-called selfie dysmorphia, where people are having cosmetic surgery to look more like they do in their heavily edited selfies. I've got an app that adds extra chins to my face. It's called Vianetta. None of this would be happening, though, if we just stuck to using Snapchat to send 10-second photos of our bottoms to strangers, as God intended. And, of course, we wouldn't be having any of these issues if people stuck to the traditional way of improving their appearance, gin. Personally, I have no aptitude with using filters, nor the money for cosmetic surgery. But when meeting people for the first time, I will now insist that they find me bathed in light, streaming through a stained glass window depicting St. Thomas of Aquin at prayer. Just happens to bring out my cheekbones. 2 points to Jen. Nish, which canine companion got someone's goat this week?
Okay, a man in Kansas thought he'd lost his dog when his wife let it outside, according to the reports, to go to the bathroom. And then the next day, it returned, but with another dog and a goat. It had made 2 friends on the journey. Now, this story made me think 3 things. Firstly, don't, if you're a journalist, use the phrase, go to the bathroom about an animal, because it's not like the dog was at the urinal. Secondly, how did that dog, in one night, manage to get the same number of friends as I managed to get in 2 years of primary school, leading to my mother describing me as being different and that I don't need to worry about it. And I distinctly remember, even at 5 years old, being, listen, I know when you say different, you mean weird. Don't lie to me. And number 3, I've been in show business for far too long, because when I heard this story, my first thought was, who's got the film rights to that dog story? And does that dog have an agent? Otherwise, it's going to lose out to either Meryl Streep, Daniel Day-Lewis, or Andy Serkis in a morph suit.
It's sinister. It's a weird story to even be in a newspaper, but it's also sinister. Clearly, you've got 2 dogs. They're escaping together. They've kidnapped, literally, a goat to have as a hostage to eat when they run out of food. It's not friendly, it's not nice, it's deliverance with 2 dogs and a goat. It's horrible. It's a horrible story.
But also it's discovered that the other dog and the goat, turns out that they belong to very near neighbours. So, in fact, it's not even a tale of delightful animal
Well, it's
friendship.
just like, it's Dave's goat.
Yeah, it's basically a community plagued by negligent pet ownership.
I mean, it's only interesting if the 2 friends that the dog made were like Jennifer Aniston and David Schwimmer, but otherwise it's not really a story, is it?
Your insurance pays out if your dog runs away. I had a dog. Dog died, rang the insurance company and said, listen, the dog is no longer with us. Will you pay out? And she goes, no, it's under the excess in the policy. And I said, no worries. And I said, can I go ahead and cancel the policy? And the woman said, yes, but can I ask why you're cancelling the policy? It was like, because we thought it would be overly cautious to continue to insure a dead dog, to be honest with you. And we've looked online, and some of your competitors have very competitive dead dog quotes, right? But I didn't say that, where I said, well, the dog is no longer with us, as I said. And she goes, did he die or did he run away? Because if he ran away, we cover that. And I went, well, then he ran away. And then she goes, well, why did he run away? And I was like, I couldn't read his notes. I don't know. And she goes, I have to put down something. I said, put down fireworks. She goes, we don't have fireworks in May. I said, it came as a shock to the dog as well.
You just admitted to insurance fraud on the radio.
Yeah. But I live in Singapore now. Or Davos, which is near.
Can I just ask, when did all of your hope die? This is a magical story.
During the first round.
Oh, sorry. This is a magical story of some pets being friends on an adventure, and you all have ruined it. We're desperately scrabbling around for hope in an era of Brexit, and these are animals that have made friends, and you've all wrung the joy out of it, and also Kylie Minogue.
This is the latest news from Kansas, where a man who had lost his dog and had lost hope of ever finding it discovered it running across a bean field with another dog and goat in tow.
It's not even news.
It's all well and good having a dog that goes off requisitioning other animals, but the sad side of the story that we're not hearing about is that somewhere there is a confused blind man wondering where his goat is. The trio, who have been described by papers as best friends, actually prefer to think of themselves as colleagues. 2 points to Nish. Before we reveal the final scores, has anybody got a cutting that they'd like to share?
Yeah, I've got one from Victor Cuss, who's from County Dublin in Ireland, and it's seen on a Facebook webpage of the animal charity Dogs Trust, actually. Can anyone help temporarily home this dog, as his elderly owner has gone into hospital, and unfortunately, he will be euthanised tomorrow?
Hugo.
This was sent in by Cliff Hutton in Inverness, and he heard it on the BBC World Service. 500,000 Armenians live in France, including the singer Charles Aznavour, who died 2 years ago.
Jen.
This is from Johnny in East Dulwich, who spotted this on the East Dulwich Forum. I am new mum and need to get haircut and colour. Does anyone know a good mobile hairdresser that, if needed, could breastfeed baby during colour process? I do, actually, yeah.
Nish.
This is from David Crane in Brussels, who was listening to We Need to Talk About Death on Radio 4 and heard this. For most people, a funeral is a unique, once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Thank you. And now let's take a look at the final score. Neil and Hugo have 11, but this week's winners are Jen and Nish with 12. Before we leave you, here is something from the Eye, sent to us by Rick Blakely from Colchester.
Police who found £350,000 in cash hidden in a washing machine have arrested a man on suspicion of money laundering.
And with that, goodbye.
Taking part in the News Quiz Extra were Neil Delamere, Hugo Rivkind, Jen Brister and Nish Kumar. In the chair was Miles Jupp, and the news was read by me, Kathy Clugston. The chair's script was written by Laura Major, Benjamin Partridge and Mike Shepherd, with additional material by Adele Cliff and Kat Sadler. The producer was Sarah Sharp, and it was a BBC Studios production.